Welcome back, True Seeker. It is January 3rd, 2023. And of course, all the news, whether it's sports media or beyond, is talking about the Damar Hamlin collapse during Monday Night Football. And they're bringing up constantly the only player to ever die on the field in an NFL game was Chuck Hughes back in 1971. And here's an article written last year on the anniversary of his death. It happened October 24th, 1971. Actually, more than a year ago now. October 24th, 2021, the 50-year anniversary. This article was published the day Chuck Hughes died, remembering the only NFL player to die in a game. And you can see standing over his corpse is, of course, the referees, but also Dick Butt Kiss. And recall the recent NFL joke when Michigan's coach, Harbaugh, went to the Vatican to shake hands with the Pope, and his tight end, Jake Dick Butt, fell from what was supposed to be a first-round pick until the 145th pick of the draft. And I explained why that ritual was, and again, the business about him being a tight end with the last name Butt, in a league where there's been a Dick Butt Kiss and now Jake Dick Butt. Again, people aren't getting the mockery that is Major League Sports, but again, we're going back to 1971. And then, of course, on the same night, you had Donovan Mitchell drop 71 points, 145 points in the game. Again, we're going to bring all this together because it's all perfectly scripted ritual, like we continue to educate about year after year, how sports is scripted theater, storylines, narratives, essentially mass mind control. Did you hear the story about how Damar Hamlin's charity that he couldn't even raise $2,500 for last night raised over $4 million? Wonder where that money's going to go to. Fleecing the sheep, stealing candy from babies. Anyway, Dick Buttkiss. Look at him standing there, number 51. Think about it. This happened in the end of 1971, right? So it's been 51 years and change. And we actually talked about the number 51 last night. We'll bring it back up. Actually, let's just start right here with 51. Let's just start with this being 51 years, 2 months, and 9 days later. From the death of Chuck Hughes to the Damar Hamlin collapse, which is being compared. It's 51 years and months later. But notice how in Gematria, again, this is the language you need to know. It's the language used by secret societies like Masons. Again, all the American sports are credited to Freemasonry. And by the way, I mean, hold on. Before we even go any further, just with regards to wordplay, what were they giving you last night? Again, for a decade, I've been teaching you about the number 33 in Monday Night Football. The only player standing while everyone kneels is number 33, and his name is Neil. Only Neil is standing. Dick Butt Kiss. Jake Dick Butt. Anyway, it's 51 years later. Chuck Hughes died 51 years ago. What's Chuck Hughes equal in Gematria? 51. Where did last night's ritual happen? Cincinnati, which equals what? 51. What's conspiracy equal? 51. What's the area associated with conspiracy? Area 51. Again, that's why when you learn Gematria, your eyes start to open up to the greater meaning of numbers and words and language and things like spells and spelling. But okay, so 51 years later, and again, it was Dick Butt Kiss, number 51, standing over the corpse in the infamous shot. And also, just to remind you about something, back then, when society hadn't been pussified and Hollywood didn't make a movie about a wimpy guy and a superhero woman every week, back when society was more masculine, back when guys still wanted to have sex with women back in 1971, in a different era, the game went on. They didn't end the game. They didn't cancel the game. They didn't go to Booger McFarland in the studio. Oh, man, this is like the saddest thing that ever happened here. I'm Booger McFarland. It's like, I remember Booger McFarland ever getting on the TV after 9/11 and being like, this is the saddest shit that's ever happened. The rigged NFL is now telling you that bottom feeder Patriots are the best team in the league after the Patriot Act. God, should we mention that the New York Jets were their only Super Bowl winning season was the same year 911 was made the national emergency dialing code and World Trade Center construction began? Because this is really the saddest shit ever that people can't see through this each week. Dick butt kiss. Jake Dick butt. Neil won't kneel. What do you mean? I think it's all a coincidence. Again, you guys, they know they've raised a society of morons who know nothing about nothing, and they can get away with these little jokes every day. You know, it's funny also how I began the day talking about the latest Masonic Hollywood film, The Black Phone, and all the Masonic symbolism and how they're essentially mocking their audience with the murder rituals they've gotten away with over the years, putting the number 1733 right in the film, like the Masonic headquarters address in D.C., the House of the Temple, it's 1733. And then here we are in week 17, and the only guy standing is 33. Anyway, let's come back to this. Last night, like I explained, you had the battle of the Queen Cities, Cincinnati and Buffalo. And, again, the Queen died on this season opener as the Queen City Bills upset the defending champion Rams. And right now we're in the time of King Charles. Again, those who fought for King Charles were Cavaliers. And we heard about the dead football player, Virginia Cavaliers, on his birthday. And then last night, with the ritual at the Queen City, we got the guy for the Cavaliers going for a career-high 71, whose nickname is Spider. Spider 71, like royal, like Catholic, like how they made a big deal about the spider crawling on the Queen's casket. You know, we're going to put it all together here. Notice the Bulls went down with 134 points last night. Remember, Charles Hughes equals 134. That's Chuck Hughes' actual name. His real birth name is Charles, like King Charles. Again, King Charles III, 134. In addition to the Virginia Cavaliers football player killings that news breaking on his birthday, King Charles. We also got the killings at University of Idaho in Moscow, Idaho, which is spelled the same way as Moscow, Russia. And King Charles is the first English monarch of Russian ancestry. And we talked about the speculation in the past that Jack the Ripper was of the royal family, the murderer in the UK who did his killings 134 years before the killings at University of Idaho. Again, Jack the Ripper's last killing was November 9th, 1888. 4 days and 134 years later, you have 4 students killed at the University of Idaho. And again, they said that the women made 10 mysterious phone calls to Jack. Jack the Ripper's last killing on November 9th, 1888 was at the 10 Bells pub. Again, we've been covering all of this, where 134 fits in with King Charles III and what's going on with the University of Virginia Cavaliers killings. And, you know, now this. So anyhow, last night's ritual, you guys, it was 49 days after King Charles' birthday. 49 days. Chicago Bulls in Gematria equals 49, who went down to the Cavs, and Damar Hamlin equals 49. See how this all starting to come together? Charles Hughes, who died on the field, 134 like King Charles III. Vesica Pisces, that's the shape of the football, 134. And again, if you missed last night's videos, go back because there's even more. The ritual happened 117 days after Donovan Mitchell's birthday. Buffalo Bills 117. Just like how the Queen died 117 days after the shooting in the Queen City at the Buffalo Tops. Just like how last night was the 117th day of the NFL season as the Buffalo Bills have another tragedy. First, it was the store shooting. Well, you could say first it was O.J. Simpson. Then it was the store shooting. And by the way, that store opened on O.J. Simpson's birthday. Then it was all the snow in the holidays that killed all the people in the Buffalo area. And now it's Mr. Damar Hamlin who makes a routine tackle, pops right up, gives the opponent a big shoo, and then collapses to the ground. Theater. The guy's name literally sounds like it came out of Shakespeare. Damar Hamlin. Isn't that one of the characters we learned about back when we had to read Shakespeare and we didn't know what the hell we were reading in slave school? Sounds like it, right? Hamlet. Damar Hamlet, let's just call him. Anyhow, 51 years later, Chuck Hughes, Cincinnati conspiracy. And how many points were scored in the Bears-Lions game that was finished? 28-23, 51 points. 51 points. The Lions, who lost the player, lost with 23. This happens in the first Monday Night Football game of the year 23. And if you were watching ESPN, they had to tell you all the players evacuated the field. after 23 minutes. I mean, they put it right on the screen. And not to mention the guy who collapsed is born on the 83rd day of the year, which is the 23rd prime number. Like, again, out in the college football game, at the stroke of midnight for New Year's, Ohio State's kicker misses the game winner because his coach doesn't know how to coach. It's all because it's scripted bullshit, just like the NFL. But again, I mean, who's running the ball with 24 seconds left when you got your quarterback who's dominating? You're calling a run play for a loss of yards when you don't even have time left. Anyway, so it set up the long field goal, but it was missed at the stroke of midnight to keep the game on 83 points, the 23rd prime as we ticked into 23. Anyhow, go figure, you guys. 51 points scored in the Chuck Hughes death game, only for this to happen 51 years later. You know, there is something to say about both teams becoming 4-2. Detroit is the city on the 42nd parallel. I'll save that for later. But notice, October 24th, the day that Chuck Hughes died, it's also the day leaving 68 days left in the year. Damar Hamlin forwards equals 49, like we just talked about. When you run his name in reverse, it's 68. And notice how Donovan Mitchell forwards is 68. So Donovan Mitchell with the ritual, who talks about Damar Hamlin after the game. He's playing for the Cavs, connected to King Charles. Damar Hamlin's out in the Battle of the Queen Cities. Again, you learn the numbers, you see what's really going on. And again, just to review, 145 points scored by the Cavs. He dropped 71. This is like when Jake Dickbutt fell to the 145th pick of the draft going to the Denver Broncos. You see how Catholic is 71 forward, 145 in reverse, and also 35 and 46 numerology. Chicago is also 35 and 46. Again, the Bears won their only Super Bowl with the revolutionary 4-6 defense, 46-10. But again, Catholic, 71. He dropped 71 points in the 145-point game. 145 more chapters in the Catholic Bible than the Protestant Bible. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, like Joe Biden, number 46, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, like JFK, killed at age 46, who was the 35th president. Again, Biden and JFK are the only two Catholic presidents. But Denver Broncos, the team that drafted Jake Dickbutt, 145th overall, notice how they got the 71. Like how Patrick Mahomes just picked up his 71st career win over the Broncos this week, improving his team to 7-1 at home. And Russell Wilson, for the record, got his 64th loss. Russell Wilson gets the 64th loss, which is also the gematria of Kansas City Chiefs. Him and Mahomes, the only two quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl on the 33rd day of the year. Patrick, in fact, became the 33rd quarterback to win a Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes, on the 33rd day of the year in the Joe Montana Bowl. Joe Montana, 54, Super Bowl 54, between his two teams, where he wore 19 with the Chiefs, and they won it in the 2019 season. But yeah, Donovan Mitchell, whose nickname is Spider, and Rambo's. You know what's awesome about Rambo's research? He's been doing all the great work on the Spider and the Queen, and now here's more proof of what's going on. And you know what else Rambo loves to bring up all the time? If you guys don't know Rambo, he calls into my Wednesday night radio show. Every Wednesday night, we're on Truth Frequency Radio. Rambo's been a longtime caller. He's the highlight of the show on Wednesday. And he's always talking about the Freemasons and the Hiram Abiff kneeling ritual. And I'm sure Rambo's Wednesday night presentation is going to be about Donovan Mitchell scoring 71 in the Spider and this. And he's going to figure out a whole bunch of other things that are brilliant about it. But Rambo's always talking about these themes. The Hiram Abiff Masonic kneeling ritual. And lately he's just on a tear with the Spider and the Queen. So go figure. Go figure. Again, Charlotte, the Queen City, Charlotte's Web, the Spider. He's been talking all about it. Okay. Again, it's 49 days after Charles' birthday. We've already seen enough rituals with this guy in the Cavaliers. And in the time he's king, will we see LeBron return to the Cavs at some point? Again, when LeBron won the only finals for the Cavs, he did it on the real King James's birthday. King James was the father of King Charles. Again, those who fought for King Charles in the English Civil War, Cavaliers. Scripted sports. This screenshot's from yesterday. Donovan Mitchell's birthday is one day before the NFL season began, September 7th. From his birthday to his ritual was 117 days. He's from New York. Here, how far is Elmsford from Buffalo? Let's check that out. Elmsford to Buffalo. I just want to see how close they are. Okay, yeah, so Elmsford's down by the city. When I was in Buffalo, before we got into New York for the 9/11 weekend, I had to leave Buffalo at about 10 p.m. and drive into New York City. Man, there was no sleep on that trip. But yeah, I did not realize how big New York was until I drove across that state. I was like, man, this state is massive. So anyway, okay, he's more by the city, but still, they are in the same state. And again, it's all synced up ritual. Cleveland's not too far away either. That's what I was doing when I went across the nation. I went from Detroit to Cleveland to Buffalo. So anyway, coming back, it was 117 days after his birthday. Again, we've been talking about it all year with the Bills, 117. And the NFL season began on September 8th. So yesterday was 116 days after the NFL season began, but it was also the 117th day of the season. Just like how you could have said it was also Donovan Mitchell's 118th day of his age. And, you know, so some things could be coincidental. He's the 13th pick of the draft, NFL 13. The final play of the game was a 13-yard completion. Josh Allen stuck on 33 passing yards. And by the way, Joe Burrow, after the 13-yard completion, is stuck on 52 yards passing. Big heart number. Heart's 52 forwards, 83 in reverse. The guy whose heart reportedly stopped beating is born on the 83rd day of the year. And again, here, I'll pull up the stats. We looked at him last night. Let's just make sure there hasn't been any funny business with stat changes. But here, let's pull up the box score. Let's pull it up. All right where we left it. Josh Allen on 33 yards. And Joe Burrow on 52. Last pass ended up being the heart stopper. And remember, Damar Hamlin, his name in all four ciphers, the exact same as heart chakra. All four. As they tug on the heartstrings. As they fleece $4 million from the populace in donations. The power of theater. This is why actors are the highest paid people in the world. And it's why mind control is so important to the controllers. If they can control your mind, they can control everything about you. And again, ESPN last night, you know, top two stories. 71 points from Mitchell. What happened to Damar Hamlin? Paired stories, paired rituals, and most people not having the knowledge to see how it is directly connected. And again, they came out last night. They said he had... what's wrong with me? Let me just get it up here. They said he had cardiac arrest, which has the Gematria 57 like Hamlin. And again, Super Bowl 57 this year. Again, the Queen died on the opening day of the NFL season that ends with Super Bowl 57. The Queen from England, 57 land. And again, she only came to one American football game, and it was back in 1957. And it was between Maryland, and then she dies on the Virgin Mary's birthday in North Carolina, where North Carolina is named after King Charles, who replaced her. And again, a lot of people last night thought it might have been the jab. And it's not an accident, you guys. Not an accident that word has the Gematria 57, because really this ritual's a little projection for what's going to happen to a lot of people who went out and got it. And don't forget, before the jab was even out there, I wrote a book. My book was out before the jab even came out, predicting when the mandates would end, which was a dead-on prediction. If you guys have not read my book, it's out there. You should read it. Came out September of 2020. Told people why you don't want to get the clot shot before it was even out, and why they would wind down the mandates as soon as the year of the tiger rolled around, which is exactly what they did. How did we know all this? From understanding what's going on in the world, from knowing the code. It's also how we predicted that Moderna's stock would blow up on May 7th, 5-7, because it was backed by Bill Gates, who's also Mr. 57, who's Mr. Jab, who gave a speech in his 2010 TED Talk about how we can reduce population. Maybe you should go back and watch the first 5 minutes of that presentation, because his first way to get rid of people, it'll make you go, shh. He's very specific about how we can reduce the population. It might be the thing that's written on the screen. In fact, it is. But anyway, that's what the ritual's really about, because remember, a year ago at this time, they started publishing in the UK and in Australia and other parts of the world that a lot of people are going to die from a new phantom heart disease that the medical world doesn't know where it came from because they're playing you like you're stupid. But anyhow, coming back to this, the other fancy word that they used for his cardiac arrest was commotio cordis, which equals 81. And again, that's what we're talking about, how this happened 81 days before his birthday on the 83rd day of the year. Ritual equals 81, so does Bill's. And you know what? Something just dawned on me about him being 24 years old. Again, Who's the only player to ever die on the field? A Detroit Lion, right? A Detroit Lion. Guess what Lions equals? 24. And they're comparing this to the death of Chuck Hughes of the Lions. So anyway, the fancy words 81, like bills and rituals, like 81 days before his birthday. And again, all it takes for the American sheeple to go along with anything is just when the talking heads on the TV start talking about it. Just the instant mind control. None of these talking heads talked about the death of Franco Harris, which was an obvious murder ritual, like it was so sad. They were just more like, man, this is just a reminder that you just never know when your last day is going to be. You know, you didn't have Booger McFarland come and be like, man, this is so sad. He was so healthy, man. He was so healthy. He was just getting out doing the media rounds for the first time. And then he just dies. Man, I think he got murdered. You know, that's what any logical person would be saying, because that's exactly what it looked like with what happened with Franco Harris. You didn't see any of the talking heads on TV talking like that, but they all got on last night. After this, Adam Schefter, Booger, all the other idiots that legitimize the bullshit every day. And right away, they start planting everyone's head, man, this is so sad. It's like, can we just play the replay of what happened? Cocky player taunting the other guy, shh, and then just falls down for no reason. And they want to make it seem like his heart got stopped from the impact of the tackle. He wouldn't have been able to get up and do his little taunt move and then collapse. Bullshit. If it was the impact that stopped his heart, he would have just been laid out on the floor like Chuck Hughes. And by the way, with regards to that happening to Chuck Hughes on the day leaving 68 days left in the year, that's another number connected to death, because caskets go 6 feet deep and are 8 feet long. That's why 68 was such a fateful year, from MLK to RFK and beyond. The year fentanyl was approved, the year coronavirus was coined, 68. Anyway, again, Franco Harris, 103rd season, dead 103 days after the season began in a clear ritual. And then Ronnie Hillman dies the same day his news breaks. Ronnie Hillman, 72 forwards and backwards. Franco Harris, the Immaculate Reception in 72, dead at 72. See where Ronnie Hillman's 144 and 72, so is Jesuit Order. It was 14/4 that Franco Harris started promoting the clot shot, April 14th, only for him to die 88 weeks later. Poison 88, arsenic poisoning 88, decade of vaccines. That's what Bill Gates called what we're living out, 88. Same guy who said how we need to depopulate. So again, that's what the real ritual is about, you guys. Again, that's why they got Hamlin doing the jab claps. If you can't figure it out, that's what it's all about. And again, for all you guys who think this is a coincidence, you guys are morons. Again, had you been here, you could have made some money on the Moderna stock on May 7th, like I predicted, you know, like with a million other correct predictions that you could have profited off of. So anyway, for all you guys who just think all this stuff's a coincidence, you're the same ones that don't get the jokes every day of Dick Butt Kiss and Jake Dick Butt and, you know, the only guy standing being the guy Neil on Monday Night Football 33 in a lesson I've taught about 10 gazillion times. And again, I mean, the only reason they can get away with this is because they know that it's a bunch of low IQs out there. You guys, they wouldn't make the games as obviously rigged if they were, if they didn't know they didn't have a society of fucking retards. Because if people had brains, they wouldn't come to these games anymore. They know these games are total bullshit. Scripted theater, energy manipulation, that's all it is. Total bullshit every week. You know, if people had higher IQs like yours truly, nobody's going to these games. They're saying, why would I go pay a whole bunch of money for a beer, to park, overpriced ticket to watch some bullshit-ass game? And a lot of these guys, when I watch, you know, I'm only 5'10", I'm not huge, but I'm not impressed by most NFL quarterbacks, and I can't stand listening to commentators. They're like, man, those guys have only been practicing together for a week. If you're an athlete and can throw a ball, it's not that hard for timing and to hit a guy in a spot. I can go meet a guy in the park today and throw him dimes all day. We can practice together for 2 minutes. If a guy's paid $10 million, $20 million, $30 million to throw a ball, I don't want to hear like, wow, look at how they just came together in a week. I mean, you should be able to do that. There's a lot of guys in this country that can throw a football real nice. This league is for people who don't know a fucking thing about anything. And so are all these sports leagues. But anyway, Damar Hamlin and the perfect ritual to fleece the sheep as they suck in $4 million. Again, read the story. His charity couldn't even raise $2,500 before last night. then boom. And who knows what it's up to now? It's probably up to 10 million by now. There's a lot of sheep out there to fleece. So, and again, just the emasculated society. All the people watching my video right now, oh my God, this guy's an asshole. Again, let me take you back to 1971, back when you could actually tackle people and make a good hit, and it wasn't a 15-yard roughing the whoever penalty. Back before the league was for fairies, a guy dies in the game, get his corpse off because we got a football game to finish. Should have done more neck exercises or whatever it was. I guess they said his heart stopped too. And I wouldn't be surprised back then if it was a bullshit-ass ritual in light of how synced up it is. But the point I'm making is it was a lot tougher time back then. And again, they want a really weak, emasculated society. And you know what? Speaking of that, somebody made a really great observation. What's the first Meta commercial called? The first Meta commercial is called The Tiger and the Buffalo. And notice how they've introduced this idea of meta during the time of the cooties pandemic. Germs are everywhere. The world's scary. There's mass shooters at every corner. You know how we could avoid the cooties virus. We could avoid the next mass shooter. The crazy weather at the holidays and the long lines in travel. We can all just live in virtual reality. It'll be so safe in virtual reality. It'll be almost like it's real. It'll be the perfect place for a society of fairies. The tiger and the buffalo. You guys, this stuff's not an accident. These are all little pieces of a puzzle as they build the cell tighter and tighter around humanity. The surveillance states. Pretty soon, again, you'll live in virtual reality where every last thing you do is tracked by Big Brother because you'll be living in their platform. Again, for all you guys who haven't figured it out, Facebook's never been some private company. It's always been the federal government. And for those of you who don't know that's a fact, it's because you don't know anything about anything. The day military project DARPA, the military project put on by DARPA, that's the military technology branch of the U.S. federal government, their LifeLog project ended February 4th, 2004, the same day it ended. Right when it ended, guess what launched? The same day, Facebook. DARPA's LifeLog was the same thing as Facebook. All of this is just to collect everyone's data and information for the surveillance state. The next thing, they'll have you on the electronic currency where they'll track every last transaction. They'll have everything about your life. They'll know exactly what products to market to you at all times. Just like what's already going on. It's just going to get worse and worse. But again, they want less people. So, you know what? Teach everybody to be a dick butt kiss. You know what I mean? Teach everybody to be a Jake dick butt with a nice tight end. Teach people to cut off, their genitals. Make it cool and trendy. Teach people to, not even have relations with other people. Just jerk off all the time. Masturbate. Buy a new dildo vibrator. All these things they're doing are population control. And then all this other stuff to make society soft and weak is to make it so that you'll just hop right into their whole virtual reality meta system when it's up and running in 2030. Remember, that's what he said. It'll be fully ready by 2030, which is like, oh, that's perfect because isn't that what the New World Order's plan is? Agenda 2030, to have the climate emissions down to net zero by 2030. So if you're living in virtual reality, you're driving a lot less, you're traveling a lot less, you're going to school in virtual reality, you're going to work in virtual reality. It's not hard to see what they're trying to do to society. And I shouldn't say try it. It's not hard to see what they're doing to society. They got a bunch of softies. Society didn't used to be so soft. It didn't used to be as stupid either. That's why the games get even more bullshit week after week, and seemingly somehow people don't catch on. They're still going to the games. The narratives have never been such loads of shit. I feel like the 1971 population would have caught on. They'd have been like, I'm not going to NFL games anymore. These games are total bullshit. You talk to older people from that generation who are still around, but they don't watch the NBA anymore. They used to watch the NBA, but then they realized the NBA was total bullshit. Somehow they still haven't figured out the NFL. I guess it's because they need something to watch. But anyway. A lot of dumb comments left on my Twitter, on my YouTube, from all the dummies, the same people that probably donated to Damar Hamlin's sucker charity. Again, you guys, it's not only just like fleecing babies, it's like fleecing babies who are destined to ride the short bus for the rest of their life. That's what it's like. You sound like a weirdo just because his name's Neil? It's like, wow, you must be some kind of special fucking loser. I'm sure you're quadruple vaccinated too. So enjoy your time while it's here. And hey, speaking of that, you guys, remember the other big coincidence, the coronavirus pandemic simulation, October 18th, 2019, called Event 201. Remember all the 201 rituals we've been documenting with the pandemic? But the Queen caught the cooties, right? Supposedly from King Charles. We were talking about all this. In fact, I was explaining why she was going to die at 96 and how it would probably be connected to COVID before it even happened, because corona means crown and it's the crown virus. But anyway, from the day that she caught cooties to the day that she died was 201 days later. And remember, the big celebrity over there that she knighted on July 17th, he died from the cooties 201 days later. 201 is the number of the Jesuits, and it's why the Jesuit order's logo is above the door at 10 Downing Street in the UK, where the Prime Minister resides. But anyhow, the Queen, she dies 201 days after her cooties diagnosis. And it's a reminder that the cooties jab was first approved in the UK. And there's a lot more to say about that. But let me just pull up this slide. Bear with me while I pull up this slide right here. I'm going to pull up this film, The God Committee. I want you to see what they did with this. Hollywood put out a movie about a doctor who works in a hospital who has to be with a panel of people and make the decision on who gets a heart transplant, who gets a liver transplant, who gets whatever transplant they need, because there's only so many organs available. So they call themselves the God Committee because they choose who lives and who dies. And he doesn't like having to do this. So in his spare time, he's working on creating genetically modified pig organs that will go into human beings. So that's what this movie's about, right? So this movie comes out on June 20th, 2021. And then lo and behold, on January 7th, 2022, international headline, 201 days later, that the first genetically modified pig heart is transplanted into a human being. And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to need a lot of transplants because, you know, they went along with the Bill Gates agenda, if you will. You can go listen to what he said in his 2010 TED Talk. But it just happened to be 201 days later. And again, you don't know who these numbers are representative of. You better pull your head out of your ass, because I've been educating about for a long time. The Jesuit order who runs this whole fucking world. The Jesuit order equals 201, like their founder's name equals 201, like Jorge Mario Bergoglio equals 201, who's Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope and the first to live in Suite 201, who just had the whole World Cup scripted around him. Another nailed future for our community. And again, where was Messi staying? Separate from the team in room 201. You know? Tell you all about 201 and Tom Brady's whole scripted career, and why 2 World Trade Centers became 0 before it became 1, and why the Buffalo Tops shooting happened on Hillary Clinton's 201st day of her age because she's a Jesuit who cut the ribbon when they opened the store, and why the O.J. Simpson crime scene was found on the day, leaving 201 days left in the year of the old Buffalo Bill, where again they opened the Tops on his birthday, and then they said 10 dead, 3 injured before the 103rd NFL season, where the Bills went on to become 10-3. And notice, just coming back to the whole 51 thing and conspiracy, again, Chuck Hughes 51, Cincinnati 51, conspiracy 51, 51 points scored in this game with Dick Buttkiss number 51 standing over him. Conspiracy does equal 51. Conspiracy also equals 123, like ABC 1, 2, 3. And the Bills' record at the time of this ritual is 12-3. But yeah, also just going back to O.J. Simpson and 10-3. Like the halftime score when they did the retirement for Franco Harris, who died 103 days after the 103rd season began. But again, the O.J. Simpson verdict was on October 3rd, 10-3. And again, they opened the store on his birthday and report 10 dead, 3 injured. So. Shout out to Nathan, Disambiguation 144. He says, January 2nd is National Science Fiction Day. Close enough for a big story like that one. Appreciate that, Nathan. Yeah. Oops. I don't know if I missed any other super chats, but that is the one I do see. Eric Miller says Chuck Hughes pick right in front of the Steebs logo and all-seeing eye. Just another. Yeah, that's true. Right in front of the CBS all-seeing eye logo. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. And that all-seeing eye is about mind control. That's what the television is. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. So, yeah, here, you know what? I'll put the link in the chat one more time. We'll go a little bit longer. We'll see if we got some other people who want to chime in with some other useful information. But also, for all the emasculated losers out there that leave the shit comments about how stupid I am, come on, you don't have to put your face on the screen, but just come on, enter the stream, and don't put your face on there because I already know you don't have the balls to do that, but just have your blank screen and enable your mic and explain why what I'm saying is bullshit and explain why what I'm saying is crazy and why what I'm saying is lunacy. Because I get tired of these comments and I just think, God, you know, again, people get mad at me because I rant about how the only thing I agree with about the Illuminati is the depopulation agenda, because I realize it's a world full of fucking morons and losers, and it's not going to change until these people are just cleared out. And they're the ones that are participating in the death jab. And quite frankly, they deserve what's coming. And I'm looking forward to the next 5 years based on the headlines of what they said. How many people are going to die from the phantom heart disease? You might think that I'm wrong for that, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's real karma. It's real justice. It's proof that ignorance isn't bliss. It's proof that all of you fucking losers who've been talking shit to me, who warned you, you would have saved your ass had you listened to what I was saying. But to me, it's just exactly what's warranted and deserved. Again, until a lot of these losers are just cleared right off the face of the earth, ain't shit changing around here. So anyway, let me put the link in the chat. And again, any of you fucking losers, I'd like to hear from you. Fucking losers, step up. I know you got no balls, so you won't put your face on the screen, just like the little loser who called in last night, who made himself look like an ass. But come on and try to make a logical point. Come on and try to make a logical point about how anything I'm saying is crazy. Dick, butt, kiss. Can't figure it out? You can't figure it out? You can't figure it out? Kneel, standing, while everyone else kneels. Get down on your knees, bitches. That's not about what's on the field. That's about all the people watching on their knees like little bitches for big authority, for all the liars on TV who just nod their head to whatever the talking heads say on TV. Oh, yeah, this is the saddest thing that ever happened. These are the same fucking losers who didn't say anything about all the lies as we went and bombed and killed God knows how many millions of brown people over in the Middle East over the biggest lie there ever was for 9/11, but they're the same fucking losers who got on the TV and told you to condemn and crucify Michael Vick because he killed a few dogs. Probably another bullshit story. He probably didn't kill any dogs, but just more bullshit. And again, this same society of fucking losers. They didn't care anything about all the brown people that we wasted over the lies of 9/11, as they couldn't figure out 9/11 Patriot Act patriots, too fucking dumb to see it. But then they're all worried about Mike Vick's dogs. That's a society of fucking losers. You know why? If you go to Seattle and these big tech cities, the companies are all full of Chinese people? Because they're not fucking wimpy-ass losers. They're eating dogs. They don't give a shit. I'm not saying that's right either. I'm mostly a vegetarian, to be perfectly honest. But I'm making a point. These people aren't concerned more about the well-being of dogs than human beings in unjust wars. A society of losers is, though, like America. Again, I don't think there's ever been a dumber populace in the history of Earth than the American population. This is a society of fucking retards. That's how they get away with this shit every day. All right. Let's go out to Doug. Doug, are you one of these critics?
No, can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up, Doug?
No, I'm not one of these critics. I just jumped into this live stream. I see there's nobody here. Am I the only guy? Everybody's on YouTube, it looks like, or something.
There's other people in the room who are in line after you, but you're the first one on to speak. He disconnected his device. Well, Doug, you're still in the room. If you can connect your device again, you can come back on. But what's up, the Phillies?
Hey, what's up, Zach? I'm not no hater. You know, I follow you. I support your Patreon and everything like that. The thing is that they're not going to come out and show their faces because they can get killed themselves. So they're not going to step over the line and come and try to challenge you with their face showing, because then they're putting themselves at risk.
They're going to get killed. How are they going to get killed?
because anybody who's a whistleblower, they're going to try to take care of. You know what I'm saying? That's why they probably ain't going to come out and challenge you showing their face. That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's why they're pussies to do it. That's why they troll you the way they do, because they don't want nothing bad to happen to them or their families, because we're controlled by the Jesuits. So they're going to do what mommy tells them. So they're not going to come and face you. Plain and simple. That's why they got to troll you the way they do and make up all this stuff so to make you look bad. But here's the thing that people don't get. People are, like you said, they have low IQs. So people don't want to educate themselves. That's why they watch sports all the time. They watch TV shows because they don't want to educate themselves. They want to think that life is supposed to be like that. That's why they don't want to change, or they wait till something really bad happens, then they start crying about it, like with the jabs and all that stuff, with the virus and all that stuff. They do all that stuff right under our nose, and until something really affects them personally, they're never going to do anything, Zach. That's why it's hard to even get people to understand this shit that you expose every goddamn day. Many people see it, but the other people do not. They see it, but they don't want to recognize it because they don't want their lives to be disrupted. They want to be able to suck on mommy's titty and do it and live in a happy life and think that that everything's not going to have a consequence. Living life has consequences. No matter what we do in life, there's consequences to everything we do in life. They want everything to be so easy, so given to them, and at the same time they want their rights protected and all that. It doesn't work that way. You're gonna follow their rules if you don't want to wake up to what we're exposing. So they shouldn't be people shouldn't cry about what happens if they don't want to stand up and fight back to it. That's what's going to happen. And it is sad to see.
Well, it's already happening, right? Because people continue to go along with evil. Evil is gaining a greater grip on humanity. A lot of people don't even understand it. They're like, what do you mean? It was just a pandemic. No, it wasn't, you fucking morons. It was an agenda which we called out a decade in advance why this shit would happen in 2020, because we know how these fucking assholes work by cycles of 19 years because of the moon's on a 19-year cycle. That's why they're still calling it COVID-19 and gave you 19 hijackers on 9/11 19 years earlier. All of these things are an agenda that gain greater control over your life. And notice what happens. The government gains more control over you. The corporations gain more control over you. Your mom and pop stores are shut down. There's another Walmart. There's less mom and pop. Amazon's now. I mean, look at the NFL stadiums. It's like every NFL stadium, the only sponsor now in the stadium is Amazon. I just see Amazon shit everywhere. This is what's going on. It's going to be Facebook and Amazon is where they'll be the only place you can shop by the year probably 2030. And you guys still won't fucking get it because you'll be like, well, I can still get my Cheetos on Amazon and the game's still on, so what's wrong?
And another thing, Zach, you see all these people kneeling and crying over something that's staged. Sacrifice.
Exactly. Because Booger McFarland told himself feel sad. We should all feel so sad right now. I'm Booger. Back to Booger to tell us how sad to feel. Man, fuck these guys. That guy does the bullshit every day. Why would he give a shit? The guy's fucking name is Booger. Do you guys not get it? It's like dick, butt, kiss. Neil. They're making fun of you. Booger told you to feel sad over and over last night. It was just Booger leading the whole show about how sad we should all feel. Man, fuck Booger.
And that's why even if you see all the videos, and I've seen you talk to people that do First Amendment audits, even when we try to show how law enforcement treats citizens, even with that, people don't fucking get it. I mean, come on. It's all blatant. They're blatantly doing it in front of our noses. And they'd rather be, like I said, suck on mommy's titty, be put to bed with little milk and cookies, and have everything given to them. And they don't care if their mom and dads, as long as they get their sports and their TV shows and get any freebies from the government wants to sometimes throw little pebbles out. They think it's all good and life is good that way. No, fuck that. They're gonna kill us all, and they're just letting them do it. It's sad to see, man. It's sad.
It is sad to see. Well, I appreciate it, Phillies. Thanks for coming on, man.
No problem, man.
Thank you. All right, we got Ali. Maybe Ali's a critic. What's up, Ali?
Nah. I ain't no critic, man. Hey, yo, I believe in all it.
It's Ali. My bad.
Say it
What's
again.
Up, Ali?
Yeah.
It's Ali. Okay.
I ain't no critic, man. But at the end of the day, I believe everything that you're saying. You're 100% right. You feel what I'm saying? But this is what I want to understand from you. All right. So you're telling me that from that guy that got hurt last night, that was like a sacrifice or a ritual? I watched your show last night, by the way. I seen you set show with the guy standing up with the 33. I seen the numbers, but I just want you to elaborate so I could really understand. Because today I just thought about. I just want you to really understand. I mean, explain. Excuse me. Like you said, it's a ritual, a sacrifice. How is that? A person that they say had cardiac arrest that just fell on the field. Like, how is that a ritual? So I just want to understand and get better.
Do you know that he really had cardiac arrest?
Do I know that?
Right.
I'm gonna be honest. No, dude. It's like, do we know?
I don't know either. I'm saying I don't know either. I don't know that he had cardiac arrest. That's what they're telling us. And what I'm telling people is every day the news media is full of shit. It lies to us every day. These sports leagues are a giant lie. People think it's real competition. It's all rigged, scripted theater. And that's why the announcers are always blurring out. You couldn't have scripted any better. These games are about energy harvesting and manipulating people's energy. Crazy finishes, crazy comebacks, giving up crazy big leads to lose the game.
I don't want you to think that I'm coming here to try. I just want you to. I'm not coming here to troll you. I'm just trying to.
No, you're not. But I'm answering your question.
Understand the agenda. I know it's agenda with a lot of shit. I really understand. And listening to you, I seen your channel back years ago. But
here,
I had it.
Hold on. You got a COVID mask around your chin right now, don't you?
Yeah, but I work with chemicals. I'm a chemical operator. I just got off work. So I work with like toxic chemicals. We was wearing these masks.
I get that. That's the reason it actually worked. Okay.
Yeah, we was wearing N95 masks way before COVID. Way before that little COVID shit. We was wearing these masks at work. I deal with real chemicals like and you already know what chemicals.
But okay, you've been wearing masks.
Yeah, this is a mask that I wear under my N95 mask. I just blatantly got off work. Just got off work. I'm driving right now home. Look, I'm driving home.
Yeah, you're on the East Coast. It's already dark out there. No, I see that.
Yeah. I just got off work, man. I had this mask on with another mask over this.
All right, he dropped out. I don't know why he dropped out, but anyway, again, I don't really know what point he was making either, because again, the point I'm making is it's not hard to contrive this bullshit. It's not hard for them to make up a story and get everyone to just talk about it, because that's what they do every day with the news. All people talk about in our culture is what's on TV, you know? All they talk about is what's on TV. That's the point I'm making. This is how the mind control works. They create the rituals day after day. They contrive the stories by the Kabbalistic code. Again, this whole thing of letters and numbers comes from Kabbalah. The Cabal, that term, the Cabal, like the secret ruling faction, that term is derived from Kabbalah, where this whole thing of letters, numbers, dates comes from. Spelling, spells, mind control. These are all things that are taught about in Kabbalah on the dark side, the clip-off. So, again, I'm making the point. All of this looks like bullshit. Is voodoo magic a real thing? If voodoo magic's a real thing, it's the only way this guy had cardiac arrest, because it sure wasn't from the impact of the hit. He got up just fine. It wasn't even that bad of a hit. He got up just fine. There's hits like that in every game, usually a lot worse. He gets up. He taunts the other guy. And then, and what is this? What is the last gesture he does? What's that really mean? Shh. We're all keeping the secret here. Only Neil's going to be standing while the rest of us kneel. Again, in Gematria, secrecy, masonry, order, they're all 33, like MNF. Anyway, let's go out to Jill, who's in Buffalo. What's up, Jill?
Hi, Zach. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi. Yeah, we were watching the game last night, and which I typically do not watch, but my 16-year-old who is awakening with me, we're always looking for comms and, signs, that it's all rigged. We see it. In any case, I have a family member that's in the organization. And Saturday night at dinner, They literally said the Bengals are going to be in all black and the Bills are going to be in all white. The first time in NFL history. I'm like, wow, that's kind of divided. Why are they doing that? And then lo and behold, it changed. I'm wondering if you knew that that was supposed to be the attire or why it changed, because I think that's kind of significant.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know anything about that until you just called. So
Yeah, she literally said Bills are in all white, Bengals are in all black. And I'm like, oh, it's going to look like superheroes or underoos or something.
well, just here. If they were, I mean, the Bengals uniforms are black and white, and the Bills uniforms are white. Again, it's Week 17. It's Monday Night Football. Masonry, created in the year 1717. The House of the Temple, the Masonic headquarters at the address 1733. Mason equals 17, Masonry 33. What's Masonry's colors? Black and white, like what the zebras wear. So that's why you would have had them wearing all black and white in the last game of Week 17 on MNF, where it's always the 33 ritual, like they had Neil standing.
Yeah, and how would that have looked? Like dark to light, or I don't know, darkness and angelic almost with the white. And did he die on the field, or were they trying to go for that in our for the feeling? Obviously, it was all purposeful, keep us in that low vibration. Yeah, it was odd. It was just odd. I felt bad for people I knew in the organization that still are asleep. But beyond that, I was like, what the hell?
Sure.
Oh.
Maybe
Yeah,
they decided not to do that because it would have been all too obvious. It would have looked like the Bengals were dressed for a funeral. So,
and 39 people died in the snowstorm the week of, and they're comparing it to the
big New York number, 39. I saw another headline that said in the greater area there were 57 dead. I was like, really, 57 before Super Bowl 57? So,
oh wow, and they're comparing it to the blizzard of 77 here, which it's not comparable. We were off like 11 days from school, and yeah, there wasn't any snow. There was less deaths, but it's because people are stupid. They're just like, they're living paycheck to paycheck. They got to go out on Friday to do their shopping when they're clearly said stay home, and people went out anyways. They're looking at their radar and their cell phones like, oh, I can make it. So it's out of stupidity that people died. I'm sorry, but it is. They just should have stayed home. It was treacherous here. So I don't know. It's crazy. Buffalo's been crazy, and it's just coming to a head.
yeah, a lot of focus on Buffalo with all the nonstop tragedies. And again, for people who didn't get what they did earlier this year, remember we had the New York subway shooting on April 12th, the anniversary of the start of the American Civil War, Underground Railroad. Think about it, subway shooting. And by the way, the April 12th is the 102nd day of the year, and slavery is 102. And then from there, you have the next shooting synced up in Buffalo, which is where the Underground Railroad went through. And both these shootings were synced up with Kathy Hochul. Again, all this stuff is ritual and major league mockery. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it.
One last thing, Zach. When I met you in Buffalo, you and I can't remember that woman's name right now, but you had that the paper, the write up, the hard copy of those numbers with Hochul and Byron Brown. I made copies of that and I gave them to people, and I'm telling you, it's 100 times different for people to see it in black and white, those numbers, than hearing you. So I stopped today from the 3-hour conversation last night and wrote down key points, because that's the only way I can get through to people. They see it in black and white and it resonates somehow better when they see it all stacked up like that. There's no denying it. In Buffalo, especially that shooting, and that the sheet that you gave out that day was brilliant. So that's how I'm going to approach people from now on, because otherwise it just goes right over their head and it's just all like the teacher from Charlie Brown, bop, 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 So I love that, putting it on paper like that and just making copies of it. So I love your work and thank you for all you do.
Well, I appreciate your support and thanks for coming out and being a part of it, Jill. And I look forward to coming back into Buffalo. Like I said, if Buffalo does end up in the Super Bowl, if that's what they're going to end up doing, I told the people in Buffalo I will be back out there to do some more educating, and we'll talk about the weather warfare and everything that's been going on. So appreciate it, Jill.
There's no coincidence with Cole Beasley coming back after not taking the jab. And now if this gets out that, this people are like toppling over from this or whatever, I mean, it could all be connected. I don't know. No one knows. It's sick.
Well,
But yeah, thank you.
again, the ritual they did last night is definitely predictive programming for what's going to happen to a lot of people in the populace who went out and became part of Bill Gates' decade of vaccines, to put it that way. So,
Yeah, athletes that all of a sudden toppling over. Absolutely. Just like that 17-year-old. Yep. All right.
All right,
Have a
so
good night, guys. Be well.
all right, thank you. All right, and just got my my bill for the month to pay for the social media site. If you guys aren't on freetofindtruth.com, it is the social media site I pay a big bill for each month. The purpose of the site is in the age of censorship. It's a place to do research, post information, not get censored, link up with other truth seekers in your community. Freetofindtruth.com. And again, thank you to everyone who does support the work. Your support is what allows me to pay for things like this and make my ebooks free and all that. But we got some more people in the chat. Jerry Crew's back from last night. What's up, Jerry Crew?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up?
Yeah, what's up? So I just heard her mention the thing about the colors. Speaking of colors, isn't it funny how everything I was telling you about Abraham Lincoln, how it was 103 days for his birthday, the bills are in red, white, and blue, like America.
Sure.
That's definitely interesting. And also, I know I watch all your live streams, and I heard y'all say something about you and Rambo was talking about the green thing this year, the whole green thing. So that would kind of fit with that whole Philadelphia Eagles thing. And then also, I just heard you mention about slavery and 102 and all that. September 17th, the day that the Constitutional Convention ended, so 17/9 is the date leaving 87 days left in the year. And Philadelphia Eagles 87. From the Super Bowl to the start of the Constitution, also the day George Floyd died, is 102 days. You can also say 100 and a total span of 103, like the NFL's 103rd season. And also, I don't know if you've ever looked at Josh Allen's name, but his name is crazy. Joshua 74, 20, 88, and maybe 34. It matches Jewish in 3 out of the 4 ciphers, I think. I know that. Joshua Allen equals 179, like 17/9, the 41st prime, like Super Bowl equals 41. How all this happened 41 days before the Super Bowl. And also
in week 17, again, Allen equals 17 in the most pure cipher, begins the game with a 17-yard pass. Again, you just pay attention to these things week after week. You'll have a big grin on your face.
Yep, most definitely. And I don't know if you seen, I had commented on your video about the whole Donovan Mitchell thing. So Cavs is 45-9. 45 9 triangular number 45 did it. So Cavs is 45-9, 63 and 27. We know that 63 and 27 fit in with Buffalo. Also, the U.S. Constitution had 27 amendments. So that's something to look at. Also, so Cavs 63 and the 27. So that's how that connects to Buffalo. Notice that the Cavs finished with 145 points, like 14/5, the Buffalo shooting. So that's also like Catholic, like he dropped 71 points, like you said. And also the 7th to piggyback on the whole Constitution thing. So September 17th, that's the date leaving 105 days left in the year, like 10/5. May 10th, 10/5 is the day that the Boston Tea Party started. And the Boston Tea Party has overlap in all 4 ciphers as Society of Jesus, which also means that it overlaps in 2 with Washington, D.C. And notice that Washington, D.C. was the first to upset Philly this year. So that could definitely be meaning a lot. And also, did you also know that the date that the Constitutional Convention was originally supposed to start was on the day of the Buffalo shooting, May 14th? That's actually the day that it was supposed to, that's actually the day that it was supposed to start. So I'm like, okay, so that's definitely interesting. And I don't know if you brought up how in that game where they stayed on 514, they got to 514 losses versus Vikings. They also dropped 63 points in that game. The score was 33-30. So that couldn't get more obvious, honestly. And so 10/5, that's the day. This is so crazy. So that's also the day that's the day that the Boston Tea Party happened. That's also the day that John Wilkes Booth was born, the person who shot Abraham Lincoln. So I'm like, okay, so there's obviously something to this 105, 10-5, like Arizona equals 105, and Abraham Lincoln died on the 105th day of the year. So there's obviously something to this 105 or 105, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so if the Buck,
Illuminati is 105. 105
yep,
is the 14th triangular number. And again, there's a huge ritual ongoing with 14 in Buffalo after the shooting on May 14th with the 14 words on the gun. The team trying to get to 1-4 in Super Bowls.
yep, on the Super Bowl on the 43rd day of the year, the 14th prime.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's really. What's also interesting is so George Clinton was the vice president at the time that the Buffalo was flourishing in history. It was during the War of 1812. So during that War of 1812, the vice president at the time, the president was John Adams, but the vice president was George Clinton. And what's funny about that is there's a George Clinton right now, a famous singer,
Right.
who's 81 years old, born in 41, just like the Eagles scored 41 in their last Super Bowl and all the other 41. So that's crazy. And Ritual equals 81. Bill's 81. He's 81 years old right now. George Clinton was the vice president at the time of all this. And also, what's even crazier is that George Clinton and George Clinton were born 4 days apart. And George Clinton also died on April. He died in April. It was April 20th. Yes, he died on April 20th. So I wouldn't be. You can also look at that as like kind of like 42, just like all the blacks were 42, 420. All of that. Arizona also equals 42, just like Russell Wilson, the black quarterback, went and played in Arizona 42. And you know how much they incorporate 42 into the black quarterback Super Bowls. So
again, that's the right way to say it. There's only 3 black quarterbacks have ever won the Super Bowl. They all played for Native American teams, and they all had a huge 42 ritual in the game. Number stamped all over black history. Hey, Jerry Cruz, you're doing great research. There's a lot of people getting in line, though, so I'm going to let a few more people in. But
right.
Keep it, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, take care. All right. Let's see. Let's go out to 208. What's up, 208?
Hey, I heard the girl who called in right before him mention the blizzard of 77 in Buffalo, and I had a few notes on that. Okay. So we know 1977 was the 201st year of the United States being born. And I was reading about that article, and a bunch of 28 was popping up. The next Super Bowl the AFC wins will be the 28th. That blizzard started on January 28th, 1977, the 28th day of the year. And then Super Bowl 28 had 43 combined points, and it was Cowboys over Bills. And this Super Bowl 57 is on the 43rd day of the year. And then, okay. Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Appreciate it.
Just some connections.
All right. Thanks, 208.
Yep.
All right, man. All right. What's up, Jay?
Yeah, Zach, I just want to know, I was typing in, trying to see what Donovan Mitchell, I seen he scored the 71 points and all. And I typed in his name in the calculator, the way I pronounce it, Donovan McNabb, but it's spelled Donovan. I put in Donavan. If you type that into the calculator one time, can you type in Donovan with the A?
Are you spelling his name the way he spells it?
Say what?
You're spelling his name the way he spells it?
No, that's not the way he spells it. They spell it Donovan.
Well, I would only decode it the way he spells it. I mean, if you start spelling it a different way, you're like manipulating the whole way the thing works.
I mean, the way it's pronounced. The way it's pronounced with the A, if you type that in, you will see something. That's one of my points I wanted to make. I just want to see if you type that in. And
I see what you're saying, because if you spell it that way, it's 81, going in with the whole thing that happened with the football player.
No, just Donovan. Just type in Donovan. It's 71, 26, 1, 18, 37. He scored 71 points. He's 26 years old. And he had 8 rebounds or 11 assists, something like that. And the score of the Bills game was 3-7.
Okay.
So that's the way it's pronounced, Donovan. But they I don't know if they pronounce it Donovan, But
Okay,
everybody
I
know
appreciate it,
from
man.
outside-
But again, the thing is, when you're doing this, though, like I'm already just showing just the way they spell and how the rituals are. And people are like, man,
Yeah.
that's coincidence and bullshit. They're gonna be like, this guy's now changing the way he wants to spell the name to make the
Yeah,
ritual
I
fit.
understand that as well. I didn't know I was
So
spelling
let's
it wrong.
not do that. But I
Yeah, I
appreciate
didn't
it.
know I
Thank you,
was spelling
Jay.
it wrong at first. But
Yeah,
yeah, I was just gonna
appreciate it,
ask
man.
you again about did you see the Jaguars lineman or something like that? He died at
We
the age
covered
of
it in real
38,
time
number
yesterday
77.
on Gematria Effect News 25. Jonathan and I were doing a thing on all the deaths of New Year's in 38, and then literally while we're doing the stream, the news breaks of the Jaguars lineman dead at 38. And again, they saved the news for the day of the Purdue bowl game, and he played at Purdue, and he'd actually died on December 30th. He died on LeBron's 38th birthday, and LeBron was down there in Atlanta, not too far from Jacksonville. And something tells me that's not a
Listen,
coincidence.
if you ask if my brother was here right now, I told him on LeBron James' 38th birthday, somebody will die.
Yeah.
I just knew it. I just called it. But if he
And
was
by the
there,
way,
he could
Jaguars
confirm it.
equals 23, right? Jaguars equals 23, who he played for. They announced his death at the start of 2023, the former Jaguars lineman.
Yeah. And another thing I wanted to ask you about, I'm not really a big sports fan. I like LeBron James, and I mess with the Detroit Lions. But this Green Bay and Lions game, I thought for sure the Lions was going to sneak into the playoffs because Green Bay had a tough one. They've been struggling all year, and they had to go up against the Vikings. They were a pretty good team. They were, 12-3? And we had an easy one, and we got Green Bay coming up. See, both teams end up on 8-8, and they play on the 8th of this. I just wonder if there's anything that you see in that. And then the team that we ended up beating was the Bears, and we left them on our area code in Detroit, which is 313. They're 3-13. See,
Remember,
last
the
year,
best number in your city is 83. Detroit, Michigan equals 83 on the 83rd Meridian. Whenever that number comes through in Detroit, it's a winner. So it's just like, and again, it's just like how the Bills played the Lions on Thanksgiving, and it happened to be the 83rd Lions Thanksgiving game, and they had to bring up the Tops shooting as the big story before the game. And again, they said that shooter cased the Tops on the 8th day of the 3rd month, the big murder number. And now last night, you got the player born on the 83rd day of the year, taking the big claps.
Yeah.
All right, Jay. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for
All
the
right, then. I
creativity.
appreciate you.
All right. Have a good night. I mean, it is interesting that if you spell Donovan different, it does equal 71. But again, it's just his nickname is Spider, which equals 71. You don't have to do any manipulation there. What's up, Jared Klink? You're on.
Hey, what's going on, Zach? How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
Hey, I wanted to just bring something to your attention and just see what your thoughts were, man. I've been watching you for quite some time, and I want to bring it back all the way to when Tom Brady first entered, his first NFL career. And what's interesting is I'm gonna point out a certain number that just seems to like keep popping up, and it's the number 57, because we're going into the Super Bowl 57. Number 57 hit Drew Bledsoe, which is like number 11, like the Twin Towers.
Mo Lewis, the New York Jet.
Right. And
don't lose your thought, but I want to make this point to people. Again, you guys, there's a huge thing with Seattle, the New York Jets, and the Patriots. Like Pete Carroll, for example, his first team he coached was the New York Jets, Pete Carroll. Then he coached the Patriots. Now he coaches the Seattle Seahawks. He just beat the Jets in a big ritual this past weekend.
Yep.
But again, the construction firm that was largely responsible for planning the World Trade Centers was Magnus and Klemenkic Associates out of Seattle, Washington. Just like how Boeing is out of Seattle, Washington. And those companies got people connected to Yale Skull and Bones, like who the president was at the time, Bush. Bush graduated in 1968. Like World Trade Center construction began in 68. Like 911 was made the national emergency dialing code in 68. 68 was this big year. If you write out the word terror, it's 68. If you write out Seattle, Washington, it's 68. Anyway, Mo Lewis, when he ruined Drew Bledsoe, where did Drew Bledsoe play his college football at? He played in Washington, near Seattle. So you got the New York Jet, again, and the New York Jets won their only Super Bowl in 68, which is the same year Boeing debuted their jumbo jetliners. They said all the planes on 9/11 were Boeing out of Seattle.
Yeah.
But and yesterday, again, the majority of the world writes the date, September 11th, 11/9. The Seahawks just got their 119th home franchise win by beating the New York Jets this past weekend in the season that began on 9/11, or the first Sunday games. But anyway, Mo Lewis reckoned the quarterback from Washington to give us the Patriot, Tom Brady, at the same time as the Patriot Act after 9/11. All of this shit is scripted theater. But you're right. Mo Lewis did wear 57, and Brady did just get his 57th comeback win in Arizona where the
Right.
Super Bowl is going to be.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. And you know what I wanted to point out too is last night during that when Hamlin got hit number 3, if you look like right to the top of that screen, number 57 walks right past. Not to say that he had any involvement in that, but again, number 57 is present right there.
Right. And again, we know, and again, I mean, they made 57 part of this story because his name Hamlin equals 57, like cardiac arrest, what they're saying that happened to him, and it's all synced up with Super Bowl 57.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sitting here right now just looking up like, number 50, the number 7. And, I know you were talking yesterday about how it synced up with Kobe too. And I'm trying to go back to it. If you do 50, it has the number 24 in the reverse reduction. Do you think there's any connection with that?
50 and 24?
Yeah, if you just type in just 50 itself, like I was just trying to see like how 57, like I think this year it's all scripted all the way back from when Tom Brady first entered into, the NFL. Like you said, it started with the Patriot Act, all that stuff.
The league is an ongoing script. I mean, it's just like how 1968 is the only year the Jets had a Super Bowl winning season. The same year, all this stuff, every year is a connected script. But yeah. If Brady's going to have the miracle run in the playoffs, which is definitely not out of the question, we know what they've done. And yeah, you're right. It did all start with 57.
And you see, if the playoffs, they play out, he would open up against the Cowboys. That's kind of interesting there too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, those good observations, man.
Hey, listen, I appreciate you taking allowing me to speak, man. I just wanted to point that out. I'm sure you already know, but that number 57, I think, is going to play a big role before the season's out, maybe in the Super Bowl. Even though it's 57.
About 57, the Gematria in New York City is also 57, and the word city alone is also 57. But again, Drew Bledsoe wore the number 11, like how the World Trade Centers were a big 11 that came down on the 11th of the month. In New York, the 11th stayed, and it was flight AA11 that supposedly hit first, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Hey, I got one more question for you, not to interrupt you. Last thing, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, do you think, Hamlin, he was drafted 212. The Super Bowl is on 212. In the NFL, there's 2 quarterbacks to wear the number 12. Brady played Rodgers this year. And what's interesting, you were talking last night about, you were talking with somebody and you brought up how the number 14 plays into everything. And what's interesting about that game was the final score was 14-12.
Yeah, that's a good observation. So.
And I think the whole season has been focused around like the number 9, the number 11, the number 8, the number 14, the number 12, the number 2. Like those numbers, if you look like over the whole course of all the games, every game has either, been won by like 2 points, 9 points, 11 points, 8 points. So it's like a lot of honoring, I think, of like that whole 9/11 Tom Brady, when that all first started. I think there's a lot of honoring to that. So
sure. And again, this season, the first Sunday was September 11th, and the New York teams were hot the first half of the season. You couldn't stop the Giants or the Jets. So
yeah, and the season started on 9/8, which also goes with like the whole part of that where I'm saying like that 9 and 8 plays a factor. Me and my buddy are sitting here because I know like last year, the quarterbacks, the season started and the quarterbacks had, they wore those numbers. So we were thinking like, I know there's a riddle with the Bucks and the Bills because I think that's a whole recession, like the Bucks and the Bills, but we're trying to figure out like what quarterback from the NFC could like come with that number 9. Because I still think that the Bills are gone because, Allen Ware is 1-7, 1-7, 1 + 7 is 8. There's other ways that you could, riddle him in there as well, I'm sure. But, we're still stumped on that number 9 with, because at first I thought, honestly, it was going to, like I said, it was going to be Bucks and the Bills. But, if you look at that number at 57, if you type that in the Gematria calculator, the number 49 is present.
Okay. Well, keep working on it, man. Keep working on it. You might figure it out yet, but yeah.
Hey, you inspire me, bro. I hope to meet you one day, man, for real.
Okay. Well, what part of the country are you in?
Huh?
What part of the country are you in?
I'm in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Okay. I'm
right by Buffalo.
I plan on coming back out to the Northeast, so
yeah,
I'll be back out there.
All right, bro. You take care, man. Thank you.
Yeah, take care, Jared. All right. There's another Jared out in that part of the country. He came out in Buffalo for us. What's up, Jake?
Hey, how you doing, Zach? I have some questions. I don't know anything about Gematria, but I know that there's something going on, obviously, in all the sports I've always watched as a kid, even growing up. I always thought there was something weird about them. Do you think all these players know all this is going to happen, or do you think it's possible that they're all like possessed in a way? Like when the game starts, the satanic ritual starts, and they don't even know what's going on?
It's a good question, man. Okay, so my theory is that the refs, the coaches, and key players definitely know what's going on. Does everyone on the field know what's going on? I don't know. Your question about possession is interesting. I've talked about this in the past because there's been a number of star athletes who've like been interviewed after a big moment, and they're like, I don't remember what happened. Honestly, I was totally blacked out. Like George Springer did that after he won the World Series. Like, that's your response? You don't remember anything? You were just blacked out.
I truly do believe like this is all just a satanic like ritual. Like every game they're glorifying Satan. I do believe that there's some type of demonic possession. Like if they're athletes and these guys are making millions of dollars, there has to be some type of selling their soul where they're possessed. Where when they go into the game, they're blacked out completely. It's demons playing for them, and then these things just happen. The numbers line up. Like it could be spiritual for all we know, in the physical, and then link up to the spiritual. You know what I mean?
For anyone who's listening right now and thinks he's off his rocker, out of his mind, notice, what are all these guys on TV who are in on this telling you to do? They're all asking you to pray. Here, I want to make a point. Again, this pisses people off all the time, but I've been wondering about this, and this is what showed me there was definitely something to Gematria when I first began. I was teaching about this in Buffalo because hold on. I just want the most simple cipher here. I want you guys to see this. Okay, remember, the original name of Jesus is not Jesus. It's Yeshua, but they changed it to Jesus. And I just want you to realize Jesus and Lucifer both have the same value, right? 74. Like Jewish is 74. Again, the top shooting happened on the 74th birthday of Israel, the Jewish nation. But notice, occult is 74, Masonic is 74. The NFL is highly Masonic. A lot of people say when you get to the top degree of Masonry, and Masonry has its own version of the Bible, but they say at the top you find out that they're really worshiping Lucifer. Lucifer is the light bringer. Light's associated with knowledge. But no, it's like the story of Jesus is the gospel. Gospel 74.
Also,
speaks in parables. 74. Cross.
Sorry.
I'm just making the point about how important this number is. Again, holiday. This nation's birthday founded by Masons is on 7-4. If you use numerology, Independence Day is 74. Jesus Christ is 74. George Washington 74. This number's huge. Again, all the killing rituals was 74. 3 of this nation's first 5 presidents all died on July 4th. What are the odds of that? Adams and Jefferson died the same day on 1826 on July 4th, and then 1826 days later, Monroe dies on 7-4.
I believe they're all sacrifices for new people who sell their souls, and they have to do something.
Hey, so again, I always piss people off with this, but the majority of, and understand, I was raised Lutheran. Okay, I was raised Lutheran. If you don't know what Lutheran is, that's a sect of Christianity named after Martin Luther, who led the Protestant Reformation against the Catholic Church. But again, I started to realize growing up that most of the people in my church were frauds, and they would like hide behind their religion, and they'd do something bad, and they'd be like, I'm not bad, I believe in Jesus. And you'd be like, but I know you're a human piece of shit. You can claim you believe in Jesus all you want, but you're a scummy, shitty person. And look at all the frauds in this world that put their hand on the Bible and say they're all about Jesus, like every lying president. Like how so often these TV commentators, they'll even start bringing it up. I mean, these guys after the game said, I really do think that this name Jesus is some kind of manipulation, like it's spells and spellings. And that's why the majority of Christians, it's not to say that all Christians are bad. There are good Christians, but 90% of Christianity in my lifetime have proven to be frauds, the people that are part of this religion. And again, they're asking for everyone to pray. By the way, it's all energy, right? Energy is another 74 word. It's just for the record, so is nuclear, so is weapon. Kind of like how the World Trade Centers came down on the 74th Meridian West, and then they called the site Ground Zero, which before 9/11 was terminology for where a nuclear bomb explodes below or above ground. Anyway, this 74 number is, remember I told you why Muhammad Ali would die at 74. That's another 74 spiritual figure.
Wow.
Well, anyway, there's something that they did to this name Jesus, and there's a reason so many Christians are bankrupt human beings, and there's a reason that they're asking everyone to pray. And again, it's a big energy harvest. So be mindful of this name Jesus. Again, and like I say to people, Christianity tells you to put all your power outside of you. Again, this whole thing with Jesus and 33 is about humanity. Humans have 33 bones in the vertebrae. It's like your connection to Creator is inside. There's no middleman between you and the Creator. Like for all the atheists out there, your guys' eyes are sealed shut. You're not paying attention to signs in the world. For all the Christians out there that I think I'm a bad guy because I don't have the same spiritual belief as them, Creator shows me signs all the time, and it hasn't mattered if I was in the time of being a Lutheran or since the time where I said, you know what, I'm not sure this religion thing's right. So I want people to be aware of this. And again, I went to Buffalo and talked about why the killing ritual came on Israel's 74th birthday, and they blamed it on a white supremacist, which also equals 74 when you use numerology. And again, if you read the Old Testament, the oldest Hebrew in the Old Testament is black. So who are these people that we're calling Jewish in Israel? Because they're not like the Hebrews in the Bible. So think about that also with the white supremacy thing in a black neighborhood in Buffalo on Israel's 74th birthday, and who inverted all this stuff. Anyway, go ahead.
What was I going to say? I just lost my thought. So do you believe that people sell their souls, right?
Of course they do. Bob Dylan talked all about it on 60 Minutes with Ed Bradley, and then Ed Bradley died shortly after.
So what I think what happens is these rituals, there's new people that come into it. They sell their souls. They do some satanic ritual at 3 a.m. They come up. They be brought into the Masonic Society, whatever you want to call it, Freemasonry. And then a ritual has to happen where someone either has to die for this new person to come up and rise up. Just like how Tom Brady, when he first came in the NFL, something had to have happened for him to rise up like that.
Right. They had to clear one person to make room for another. So
this stuff is scary, man. Like 74, like people don't realize what's really going on here, man. I don't think people really know these games are just a joke. They're just to harvest your energy. They're like, I believe you watching these games is actually sending your soul to hell. I believe that like your energy is being sent to the devil. And when you're watching this stuff, it's poisoning your soul, poisoning your mind, poisoning your thought life. And it's just making you so corrupt that you're just becoming worldly like these people in the world who live in their flesh and who do not know Christ. And they're just being harvested. It's like listening to secular music. It's like listening to someone who talks about killing, raping, drugs, all this stuff. You're listening to it and it implants in your mind. It's like an MK Ultra. It's like a vibration that hits your ears. And like, you know, it makes you want to do that type of stuff.
Indeed. And again, the other thing the point I was trying to make earlier that I could have made in a nicer way is this TV programming is literally controlling people's minds, and people are only getting sad about the things that they're told to get sad about. Be sad about what happened to Damar Hamlin. Be sad that Mike Vick is killing dogs. But then get behind and watch the blockbuster presentation of what did we call it when we invaded the Middle East after the 9/11 lies? They were doing it like it was a pay-per-view boxing match. God, what did they call it? All the news stations had like big bold print as we were just watching bombs and missiles just strike this nation that had nothing to do with anything other than us going over there and restoring all the again, people don't understand what we did after 9/11. We went and killed all the Taliban. And why did we kill the Taliban? So we could bring back the poppy production, so we could flood the world in fentanyl and opium and heroin. Exactly what's happened. Again, if you guys aren't aware, before 9/11, opioid levels were at like record lows because the Taliban had taken over Afghanistan. And again, they saw how that plant was killing the world. We killed them. And again, you guys, in 1968, fentanyl was approved by the FDA the same year 911 was made the code, World Trade Center construction, coronavirus was coined. That's why my last book's called 9/11 Coronavirus. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It's like they want everyone participating in all their demonic shit. And that's why these same people that all they do that let the TV think, they just go along with every demonic agenda. They think that everything is right is evil. Again, they think I've been speaking out about nothing but facts since 9/11 happened, and everyone thinks I'm evil for calling out the evil. These people are part of the evil hive mind. All they care about is what they're told to care about. They don't care about anything else, and they don't have any of their own independent thoughts. They have no critical thinking.
Sell your soul, and you don't do what their agenda does. They kill you. It's logic. They have to do all these types of rituals, all these types of murdering, all these types of killings. But you know what I was going to say? It's so hypocritical that people will be like, pray for these people. I know so many people who said pray for Damar, but they don't even believe in God. Like, what are you talking about? How can you say pray if you don't even believe a God exists? You're just being hypocritical. You're unlogical. You're not thinking straight. You say you don't believe in a God, but you're praying. Who are you praying to?
Well, and then just to start thinking about it even more, your point is great, but also like they've created this thing, right? They've created this story that everyone's mind's connected to. So now if everybody's praying, see, like people, I'm sure Love Hill's prayers are directed to Jesus. I'm sure Love Hill in America's prayers are like, Dear Jesus, please help Damar Hamlin recover and be healthy and have a great Bills season. And they might have meant well with that. But again, if we've been trained to participate in something like, again, let's go back to the 16th century when the Jesuits came into being, the Society of Jesus, who's this military killing order that serves the Roman Catholic Church that just wants to control and dominate everybody. If these people understand all this knowledge that goes back to Babylon, sorcery, spellcasting, and they create a language with real spells, with words that have real power and influence, and they sync it up with the calendar, because clearly this is what they've done. They've created the English language as we know it, synced it up with the calendar. They have everyone believing the word with lie right in the middle, all of their bullshit from their history to their spiritualities. If they have everybody going along with this and all it was ever meant to do is keep people enslaved to this corrupt, dishonest system that runs on lies every day, which is why they teach you to be a believer. Again, the word with lie right in the middle and not a critical thinker. What are people really doing, even if they mean well? If you're now part of something that was meant to control you and just keep evil in place, and you're now praying to a false name that was put with this spell behind it, again, is this why we see what we see in the world? I mean, in the time of the Jesuits and the Catholic Church and Christianity and Jesus, the world's become a worse and worse and more evil place. I would challenge all Christians to really think about that. You really think these scumbags on TV like Booger McFarland care about anything righteous? I mean, please.
Well, respectfully, Zach, believe it or not, like, people are going to probably find this crazy, but I was a kid and I didn't even believe in God and stuff. And I had an outer body experience where I went to heaven and saw Jesus. Like, there was a light over his face. He was calling me. Realistically, I know he exists and I know what's going on is very serious. And people need to realize that there's a lot of things in this world that people are going to hell every single day. Hell has been around since the beginning. When the fallen angels were cast into hell, when you die, you either go to heaven or hell. There's a lot of serious things going on, and people are just living a worldly life, not realizing that there is a I forgot the word. There is a problem, like, deep down in the spiritual realm, and there's a spiritual war going on, angels versus demons right now, and angels are fighting for our souls every day. God wants people to go to heaven. He doesn't want anyone to go to hell. But when you're continuing to watch all this type of sports, this worldly stuff, these musical bands, especially the Super Bowl, like, how demonic are the concerts? Like, we've all debunked these things. You see the Super Bowl concerts where they're doing Masonic eye symbols. They're literally worshiping Lucifer. They're doing a ritual on the stage. Like, it's crazy. That's
the most blatant one ever. Again, Super Bowl 55 was all about Satan, and they had the weekend come down like a fallen angel. So, and the problem is you have, like, it's just like the woman I was talking about the other week, Sassy Cassie. She's like, I don't care about any of this because I'm not religious. It's like, yeah, but the people ruling over us are religious, and you need to recognize what they're doing. Hold on, is this the right post? If you guys forgot Super Bowl 55, it's where the weekend came down with glowing red eyes.
Yep.
And
it's basically,
and he also flashes Satan at his concerts. The weekend flashes Satan at his concerts. So notice how Satan has gematria 55 and 10. It was Brady's 10th Super Bowl in Super Bowl 55. The 10th astrological sign is Capricorn, which is the goat, and the goat's related to the Church of Satan because their symbol's the Baphomet, which is part goat. Brady came into that Super Bowl with 80 career, what was it? Brady stayed on 80 career losses in Super Bowl 55, another Satan, and Tom Brady equals 35, like Satan. And, of course, he had 35 points on Christmas, the day where everyone celebrates Santa, a reshuffling of Satan. But notice, the weekend came down with glowing red eyes like a fallen angel, and that word, fallen angel's 55, which is what Satan is. And Satan comes to earth in Luke 10:18, like how the rapper Lil Nas X put out the Satan shoes, 666 pairs with Luke 10:18 on them. And then again, you had the Cladex pandemic simulation on 10:18, and it was the sister simulation of Cladex. Or you had Event 201 on 10:18. By the way, the Holy Bible equals 201. But it was the sister simulation of Cladex, which was exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared. So you can be out there like Sassy Cassie and say, well, I reject all this because I'm not religious. But that's just a moronic point of view. It's not about what your religion is. It's about recognizing what the people who rule over us are about. They're about this Satan figure, this dark side. Again, that's the way I see it. Like, you can believe Jesus and Satan. You can accept all those terminologies, but all spiritualities teach about a light half and a dark half, a good side and a bad side. So which side are you really on? And the point I'm making, and you just use that name, Jesus, but I am convinced, and I forgot to have it up there, but Jesus is 74 as well. I'm convinced that that name Jesus is attached to this evil side. And just because you use it doesn't mean you'll become part of the evil. But I think ultimately it pulls a lot of people over to the evil side, because you start looking at most Jesus believers. They don't really care about anything other than their own selfish spiritual beliefs. They think their beliefs are better than everybody else's. They think every other religion's evil. Essentially, they become part of the divisive culture that the powers that shouldn't be want. They want everyone fighting over the different belief systems. Again, the more with lie right in the middle. Right at the middle. But yes, there is, again, you could never convince me that there's not a creator, because you get signs in this world if you're paying attention, and there is good and
Well,
there
they
is
actually
bad.
found the name Yahweh in our DNA, which means Joshua, which means Jesus.
And by the way, Joshua Day also happens to be December 25th, and Joshua equals 74. And by the way, for all my haters out there, again, all my haters out there that like to do decodes of my name and connect it to Antichrist, just remember that even though my name's not Joshua, for my entire life, people have accidentally called me Joshua. And I'm not saying I'm Jesus, but it is weird that my whole life people have accidentally called me Joshua. And then also for all of my little haters out there that like to connect my name to Antichrist, just remember, what do they say about when hell freezes over? Again, type in what's the coldest day ever recorded. You'll see it's July 21st, 1983, which is the exact day I was born. What was the record temperature? -89 Celsius. How many chapters are in the gospel? 89. Why is that? Because religion equals 89. It's the 11th Fibonacci number, the master number, which is Jesus with numerology. And what's my full name equal? 89. So again, for people who don't know, people make videos about me all the time saying I'm the Antichrist, which is total bullshit. Again, there's probably not anyone in the last 10 years that's worked harder to actually expose real evil and how people are being manipulated by these evil psychopaths that rule over us. But again, you could make a lot better decode that I was your Messiah for all you corny Christians who keep calling me the Antichrist. You guys are a joke. Sorry, got to rant at all the losers that I know that are out there watching.
Okay, well, type in Abaddon, Apollyon, and Baal on that. Well, what is
I already know about all this. I don't want to get on too much of a side topic. I just want to encourage people to think twice about using the name Jesus. It's probably better to use Yeshua. So. But yeah, I get it. Baal worship, playing with balls, sports figures. So, I mean, we've gone over this stuff 1,000 times.
Is Baal 74, though? What is Baal? Do you know?
Baal?
Yeah.
It's not 74.
What is it? No, I'm asking you.
Oh, it's 16, like the year the Jesuits were created, the 16th century.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, but the 74... not an arbitrary number, and a number that they do a lot of their wicked rituals around. Anita Pointer just died at 74 on New Year's Eve. Anita Pointer, 74, the killing number.
So realistically, I'm going to ask you this. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? You're good at this.
Well, again, that's why I also have the Patreon. By the way, you guys, again, I used to give out sports picks for free for the first 5 years and nailed it year after year. But again, if you guys do want to see me down in LA, I got to get the support back up to where it used to be. There needs to be more resource for this work so we can travel all over the country like we did this past year. I will be down in LA. You guys get the support back up for the Kobe anniversary. We'll be back down at the Super Bowl on the loudspeaker, getting out the word about the sick rituals going on that day. And do plan to go back to Buffalo if Buffalo does end up in the Super Bowl in light of all the wicked rituals they've had all year. So
they probably will. I'm not surprised, honestly. They'll probably win it.
That's what I told them when I was in Buffalo in May. I said, if they put you in the Super Bowl for this, I'll come back out here and talk about everything else that goes on this season. So,
all right, man. Thank you for having me on, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Jake. All right. But yeah, again, this number, you guys, it all started with Buffalo on Israel's 74th birthday. And again, it's not an accident that you had and the other thing about the Buffalo Tops is it's on Jefferson Street, named after Thomas Jefferson, who died on 7/4. So, I mean, look at all those words. Think about how powerful all those words are in our society. The only one you probably don't recognize is gematria, which again is the practice of coding numbers into words, which comes from Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah. So, anyhow, who do they really got you praying to? I will put out the link for anyone else who wants to come in and get in any more thoughts. And if there's nobody else out there, and notice I just get so annoyed. Do losers only live in the comments? There's always so many stupid comments left for every video I make. Big talkers talking all this shit, but then they can never come on the stream and say anything. And then the same loser trolls who watch and make all the stupid videos about me, they're out here watching. And you know what's amazing is how many Jesus freak trolls I have who use my knowledge that they learned from me to decode just like me, talking about the Jesuits, but then they also make videos saying that I'm the Antichrist. It's like, well, would that make sense, really? That you would use the knowledge that you learned from somebody else and then accuse them of being the Antichrist? All right, let me put the link out there one more time. Well, somebody in the chat says, these are pagan Christians. I mean, what Christian isn't a pagan? Like nearly all of them are pagans. All they do are the pagan rituals. Easter's a pagan ritual. Christmas is a pagan ritual. They don't even know anything about their own spirituality. Okay, decoding with Cody's on. Somebody using the account name of my favorite troll. I know he would never come on here. I really want someone to come on who is the same person that leaves the stupid comment about how all this stuff's a coincidence day after day. The person who thinks it's a coincidence that only Neil's not kneeling and wears the number 33 when I've been educating about Monday Night Football and 33 for a decade and who really runs the show. The same people that do everything by the numbers. All right. We got 19 more minutes in the stream. 4 people joined. Each person, if you can keep it to 4 or 5 minutes, we'll get through all 4, and then we're going to wrap it up. Decoding with Cody, you're up first.
Hey, Zach. So I just wanted to get on here real fast and talk about that Neil guy, because when I first noticed that, I mean, you had the picture up there last night, and I don't know if anyone noticed that, but this morning when I was decoding, I was like, oh, shoot, his name is freaking Neil, and he's not kneeling. And that put me in mind of the wedding that happened on the same day Trump was reinstated on Twitter, 11/19. Did you hear about the Naomi Biden wedding? She was married to a guy named Neil. His last name's Neil. And basically, in my decode today on my channel, if anyone wants to go check it out, I tied in this whole thing with Biden and his granddaughter, who is now last name Neil. And the player that's standing there, I don't remember his first name, but anyway, he was born on Obama's birthday. And from his birthday and Obama's birthday to the day that this happened is 152 days. Joe Biden equals 152. And again, the player Hamlin, who got hurt, equals, he was born on March 24th, which you can write 243 like Central Intelligence Agency. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. equals 243 like Central Intelligence Agency. So I basically just tied it to it's a big CIA ritual too. I mean, you can tell they're tied into this just with the numbers and the.
Here again, for people who aren't up on this, again, Central Intelligence Agency. When you write it out, which was established in a huge Jesuit ritual, it's 243 and 117. And again, this happened on the 117th day of the NFL season, where Buffalo Bills is also 117, and the player who got injured, supposedly, his birthday is 24/3. And again, when we had a big Jesuit in office like Bill Clinton, back when the Oklahoma City Federal Building blew up on Ignatius Loyola Day, that's the day that's the day the first superior general of the Jesuits was installed, April 19th, which is also the day in history the Revolutionary War began, Waco, a fateful day all throughout history, April 19th. It's because the Jesuits run the whole show. But that was 243 days after Clinton's birthday and exactly 117 weeks after he took office. So the point is they bring these 243, 117 numbers together a lot and realize what the CIA is essentially a big mind control apparatus. So last night's ritual is a huge mind control event. They stole at least $4 million from the public on the fake ritual. And again, it couldn't be any more perfect. It's the same numbers coming together again. So that's what he's saying with the CIA. And yes, the CIA is definitely in the world of entertainment because nothing controls people's minds more than entertainment does.
Yeah, and the whole thing with this Pittsburgh thing that's been going on lately, because again, Hamlin's from Pittsburgh, and I believe it's the Pittsburgh Steelers equals 243. And you know, he's from Pittsburgh, and we just had the Pittsburgh Steeler die, Franco Harris, and you know, it's all been tied with this CIA stuff. As I've been watching it kind of progress, the rituals are just slowly growing and kind of adding to themselves. And it's just like, I just don't see how people can't see it, especially the whole Neil thing, because I was literally on like a channel that wasn't anything about Gematria. It was just somebody, it was a news station that had posted this picture of this Neil standing. And there was even people in the comments saying, that's interesting. There's a guy named Neil that's not kneeling. And it's funny because there's a bunch of, you know, mind controlled people in there. And immediately they say, no, you're not kind because you don't believe it, that you think it's something could be up
Right, that's
here.
the whole populace. It's just like after 9/11, everyone be like, "Oh my God, you're so evil to question." And it's like, I'm so evil to question what happened. What if we're just going along with evil? Again, it's a society of morons. I mean, they don't know what evil is. They're marching to evil every day. They're going along with every last evil agenda, and now they think they're a good person because they sent $5 to the Damar Hamlin charity. It's just like, God. That's why, again, go get your clot shot and get out of here, because all you morons don't know anything about anything. You're so backwards, and it's a joke. So,
yeah, so I just wanted to get on there and say that, because I just thought it was so obvious that Neil's not kneeling. I mean, it's just so obvious.
Yeah,
And
major mockery. All right, appreciate it, Cody.
all right, thanks, Zach.
All right, later. All right, let's see. Do we got a critic? Nasty, whatever your name is. Naughty Mirror.
It's Mir Nasty Natty.
Yeah, what's up?
But nah, I had wanted to say, but obviously it's all a script, and then you feel me, it's all entertainment. But at the end of the day, they still like playing like a physical game. You know what I'm saying? So do you think like real injuries could still happen?
Of course they do. Of course real injuries happen. Absolutely.
So how would you be able to know which is real and what is
So
not?
does it look real to you when a guy pops up right away from a routine tackle, does a big shoe in the other guy's face, and then steps back and collapses? I mean, like, that's not what would happen if you were injured. We've seen people try to get up from an injury before and just like fall over. They don't get up and taunt the other guy and then collapse. That's not the way it works.
I don't think the hit was bad for sure, but you got to think, people can definitely collapse, because I know somebody personally who, you feel me, was up regular and just, you feel me, collapsed out of nowhere.
But you're not in the frame of mind to go taunt the guy if you're like dazed and confused. You wouldn't be able to get clearly up in there. Like, have you been dazed and confused from a sports collision before? I have.
Yeah, for sure.
So would you be in that frame of mind to be like, oh man, because it's like you're seeing stars, right? When you're seeing stars, you're not getting up in the other guy's face and taunting him. It's not the way it is.
So you don't think people just collapse out of nowhere?
Well, people are collapsing out of nowhere for other things going on in the world. So I talked about that at the beginning of this stream.
For sure.
That's what again, for Bill got here late, I pointed out how Hamlin equals 57, like vaccine, like Bill Gates, who again said we need to get rid of the Earth's population, and we can do it if we do a good job with vaccines, back in his 2010 TED Talk. And if you don't know that, go watch it right now. Exit out of this stream and go watch Bill Gates' 2010 TED Talk. We need to reduce population, and we can do it if we do a good job with vaccines. Exactly what he said. And again.
And then another thing I had seen you say, you said the
hold on, I want to make the point that I'm not finished. I'm not saying that he collapsed from the vaccine. I'm saying that this is the ritual, the theater of what is happening to people in the world, and it's going to happen to a lot more people, just like how a year ago at this time, the mainstream media started to put out headlines about the new sudden adult death syndrome, about how there's a new phantom heart disease sweeping the world that's going to take millions of lives over the next 5 years. That's part of what this mockery is. A lot of these people watching these games who went out and got their clot shots, they're actually going to have that happen to them, and it's going to be real.
Yeah, facts. If you got the shot, something wrong with you. But that's what I'm saying. I had seen you say something. It was like the Hamlin dude, and then you said the Tyler Boyd, that was the number 83 that scored a touchdown. You was like they high school, both played each other, and then they both went to Pittsburgh. I thought that, you feel me, was kind of weird. I ain't gonna lie.
It is weird, right? Somebody called in, and because the same person who gave me that information, he called into last night's show and he said what it actually was, and then but it's all just so closely linked. They're all from the same area, high schools that recently played each other. And again, he happens to wear the number 83. This guy who collapses happens to be born on the 83rd day of the year, which is the 23rd prime. And here we are at the start of 23, and they had to put up the stat on ESPN when they all walked off the field that they're leaving the field after 23 minutes. That's how you can see it's a ritual. especially when you got Neil standing while everyone else is kneeling, and he wears 33, what we call the Monday Night Football number.
For sure. For sure. All right, now that's all I wanted to say, though. Appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right.
Take care. What's up, Double D?
Hey, what's up, Zach? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that the football games are not meant for people in this dimension, because I believe there's higher dimensions, and that energy has to be transferred up somehow. So, I mean, I don't know. That could be a far-fetched thing, but yeah, because mainstream science can prove up to 11 dimensions, and they said that the fourth dimension is really like a tesseract, and that people can see everything that's happening down here. And that's kind of where like the Bible gets like what happens above happens below. So I wonder if the energy is being transferred up, if in the higher dimensions, are they playing sports as well too? That can affect what's going on down here. I don't know.
It's an interesting thought. I mean, that goes back to like ancient belief systems and like why the Mayans and other societies would do ritual sacrifice before the big sports game. And the same stuff still goes on today. I shouldn't say back in the Mayans. I mean, look how often these athletes are dying in connection with the game that's going on. They're announcing it Monday Night Football, former players dead that played for the team who's winning that night. I mean, the same thing's going on all the time. So,
do you also think that the scripts are really encoded contracts to let because like they kind of have to tell us what they're doing, because evil can't stay unless we know that unless we allow evil to stay. So since we indulge in this type of evil activity, we allow them to stay here. So in doing so, they probably write these contracts to let us know what they're going to be doing in order for them to actually have that to manifest and actually happen. I don't know.
Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but if anyone heard Mike Tomlin speak this morning about Damar Hamlin, he brought up that he's known Damar Hamlin very well since he was 12 years old. And things like that should make people's eyebrows go up, because it's like, how many 12-year-olds in the U.S. know an NFL coach really well? And it's like I continue to say, these leagues, a lot of these people are born and bred to be. They're connected through bloodlines, through families. Their fathers are ex-players. Their uncles are ex-players. I mean, Damar Hamlin has been knowing the head coach of the Steelers, since he was 12 years old. So, and by the way, Pittsburgh Steelers, we were just on his birthday's 243. Pittsburgh Steelers equals 243 forwards and backwards. The Ravens just stayed on 243 franchise wins this weekend against the Steelers. But, yeah, Mike Tomlin had more to say about Damar Hamlin than Franco Harris dying 103 days after the 103rd season began out of nowhere right before his jersey retirement ceremony. And people should also raise an eyebrow about that. But, yeah, you make a lot of good points and ask a good question, but I don't know the answer. I can only comment on what I do know. So,
all right, well, I just wanted to, state that, just, food for thought for people and stuff. And I appreciate your work and everything, Zach.
All right, thanks, Double D. Take care, man. All right, God's Node, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Zach? So I've been studying your work a lot. Just wanted to add to the ritual last night. So Doc Rivers said he guarantees the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, 41 days before the Super Bowl. Eagles equals 113. Doc Rivers equals 113. He's 61 years old. Philadelphia equals 61. He's 81 days old, which is the ritual number. And coincidentally, also, he'll be 3,200 weeks, 2 days on the day of the Super Bowl. So it's just like,
yeah, we got to look out for Philadelphia teams in 2023. Philadelphia equals 223. So,
yeah, and also, speaking of mockery, like Hamlin's foundation is Chasing M's Foundation, which literally stands for Chasing Millions, and Chasing M's Foundation is 212 in ordinal. And, he's picked 212, and the Super Bowl's on 212. So,
right. We were focused on that one last night. Indeed.
And a couple other things about the Idaho murders. So they released those JFK files on December 15th, which is the 33rd day from the murders. and it was on Joe Biden's executive order to release them on that day. And 11 plus 22 equals 33.
Wait, December 15th?
December 15th. Yep, 2022.
That should be 23 days after the murder anniversary, right?
No, of the murders, the Idaho murders. November
the Idaho
13th.
murders, I see. Oh, yeah, because that was the address 1122, right?
And the numerology for the date 12 plus 15 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2 is 33.
I see.
And from this Brian Kohberger's birthday, from JFK getting assassinated to his birthday is 11,322 days. So it's like 1122 with a 3 in the middle. And I know in your book you put 3 and light are like all four ciphers are the same.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's it. That's it for me though.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, peace.
Yeah, take care. Yeah, number 3 hurt last night in the game while the Bills are on 3 points, and then only 33. Neil is standing while everyone's kneeling. Here we got one more person I'm gonna let in the room, and he's going by the handle Chase201. What's up, Chase? Chase, you got to unmute your mic. That's the one thing that's missing, actually. Got to unmute the mic, and then you'll be good. There you go. You unmuted it.
Hello?
But I don't hear you. Shoot.
1 second.
Now I hear you. I hear you, but I don't see you. As long as I can hear you, you're all good.
Hello?
There you go. Now you're good. I hear you, Chase. Maybe he doesn't hear me now. Uh-oh. Shoot. Chase, I'm not going to kick you out, but maybe you can get it figured out, and I'll come back to you because somebody else jumped in. If you can hear me, I will come back. Can you hear me? He muted himself again.
You hear me?
I hear you. I hear you. He doesn't hear me, though. All right, let's go. He dropped out. What's up, Bamboo?
Hey, what's up, Zach? How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. First of all, big up to you and Jay for the stream yesterday. That was really good stuff. I wanted to say,
Jonathan. Shout out to Jonathan.
Yeah, I wanted to say there was a sync with the collapse that I found. There was a scaffolding collapse in Charlotte yesterday.
Queen City.
And scaffolding equals 201. And also 51. Charlotte equals 102 and 51. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And you also mentioned that they were on the field for 23 minutes after he collapsed.
Right.
So yesterday in that scaffolding collapse, they said 3 dead and 2 were injured. So it's like a mirror of the 23. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
What else did I have? That guy, Ken Block, who died, the rally car driver. I just noticed that he was the co-owner. He used to be the co-owner of DC Shoes, and I saw that DC Shoes equals 46.
Well, look here for Ken Block. I've been asked about him. He died 42 days after his birthday in Sumerian gematria. DC is 42. Again, the words Freemason and Jesuit are 42, just like it's the Jesuit Freemason stronghold. Sumerian gematria is just multiplying the alphabetic order times 6. And then his full name, Kenneth Paul Block, and his name, Ken Block. Look at the gematria. Kenneth Paul Block, 170.62. Ken Block, 73. Those are the values of sacrifice. Sacrifice is 73, 170.62. It's also 46, and this happened on a 46 date numerology.
Right.
Like how in the football game, the score was 7-3 on the 46th date, and it remains to be seen if they're going to end up telling us that the player dies or if he lives, but we'll see. But anyhow, and then his name, Ken Block, is also like DC Shoes. So, and just the other day, we were talking about the drummer whose name equaled 73, who died 62 days before his 46th birthday. So,
wow, yeah, at 45 on a 45 date numerology too, just like ritual and all that. Yeah, just a couple of things that I found, and I thought that scaffolding collapse in Charlotte was kind of a sync with the football collapse. So
it is because it goes in again. Charlotte, the Queen City, Charlotte's Web, the spider.
Right.
the nickname for Donovan Mitchell, Spider. He's having the big game for the Cavs, which goes with King Charles. It is all connected, man. News, sports, ritual, day after day.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Thought that was interesting. Keep up the good work, Zach. I really appreciate it. Everybody in the community that's doing the work, keep it up. Let's stay strong and have a good 2023.
I appreciate it, Bamboo. Thanks, man.
All right, peace. Thanks.
Take care. All right, let's see if Chase got it together here. Chase, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
There we go. What's up?
Alrighty, yeah. I just wanted to ask if you did cover that one football player that died at the age of 38. I think he pronounced his name like Unchi.
Yeah, we were actually on my other channel, GematriaEffectNews 25. We were actually doing a live stream on all the deaths connected to 38, and then this headline broke in the middle of the live stream. And we're like, well, if you need any more proof about death in 38, again, for people who are new here, 38 is the number of death, and it's why this nation's military department, the Pentagon, and Pentagon equals 38 in Gematria, is on the 38th parallel. But again, the movie poster for Murder by Numbers, which came out on Ignatius Loyola Day, and all this stuff goes to the Jesuits. Murder by numbers, the E's changed to the 3, the B to the 8. 3883. Murder equals 38 and 83. The song Murder by Numbers, where killing's as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3, came out in 83. The star of Murder by Numbers is Sandra Bullock, whose name's 83. The film came out 38 weeks after her 37th birthday. When you turn 37, you begin your 38th year of your life. In addition to murder equaling 38, so does killing, death, RIP, Gematria. Again, there's the Slipknot song, Gematria, the killing name. One member of that band died at age 38. The other member to die died on a 38 date numerology. But Gematria, English, all of this comes from Kabbalah, which is another 38 word like Jew. And again, you know, so New Year's equals 38. You got 1 million deaths in the headlines every year on New Year's with 38 coded all over it, including Gangsta Boo and the drummer from both bands, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Modest Mouse, and then Jeremy Renner, who's hurt in the snowplow accident. It's a 38 fest year after year on New Year's, which equals 38, and Christmas also equals 38. This year on Christmas, we got the story of the killings in Colorado, which is the 38th state, plus Colorado equals 38. A reminder that Russell Wilson, the NFL quarterback, when he beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl, that was the Seahawks' 38th season. But people don't realize this. Russell Wilson was drafted into Major League Baseball while he was still in college, playing at Wisconsin, and he was drafted by Colorado. And then the very next day, his dad died. Colorado, the 38th seed. Then he beats Colorado in the Seahawks' 38th season. Then he gets traded to the Seahawks on March 8th, 3-8. And then he ends up 3-8 with the Broncos, falling to 3-8 versus the Panthers, the other 38 team who lost in Super Bowl 38 and who also lost to the Broncos on the 38th day of the year in Super Bowl 50. So anyway, this long pattern of 38 leads up to yesterday's breaking news. The lineman for the Jaguars dead at 38. And what day did he actually die? He actually died on LeBron James's 38th birthday, but they saved the news for yesterday, the day that Purdue got wasted in the bowl game. And that's what college he went to. He went to Purdue. And also in that Purdue game, if you missed it, they carried a player off the field named Pope, and there were 70 points scored in the game, and Francis and Vatican equals 70, so it makes me wonder about that too. But, yeah, LSU beat Purdue 63-7. He went to Purdue and ends up dead the day of the game. And he had just been active on his own YouTube page. So,
Yeah, did you also see that tweet about him like wanting to force the vaccine mandates?
Wait, I no. What happened?
The player who died at 38. I don't know how to pronounce
Uche
it.
Wanari?
Yes. He was like advocating on how we should be pressing to force the vaccine mandates. I think because he was playing at Philly at the time.
Here, let me look up. What was it on a social media post? Like a.
Yeah, it was like on Twitter. If you go to Twitter and then like you go
right
to
here, 23 hours ago. Or wait. He says, okay, so let's get these vaccine mandates and vaccine passports up and running ASAP. We see in children die. Okay, so he was advocating for this. I see.
Yeah. So I guess it kind of keeps people like tied in, like not thinking about that it's a ritual, but like just go straight to think that, he just died from the vaccines, but when it could possibly be both, well, for sure, ritual part.
Yeah, and again, it's funny that he wore the number 77. and died at the start of 23. And the two most standard ciphers in Gematria, Jaguars equals 77 and 23. So, yeah, and then he was, again, pandemic's another word that has a 38 Gematria. And again, for a reminder, you guys, fentanyl is another 38 word. And again, in 1968, that infamous year, coronavirus was coined and fentanyl was approved. And that's the thing that's leading the nation in cause of death. And yeah, I didn't catch that part about that he was advocating for the jab. So that's new information to me.
Yeah, that's about it. So when is Yale turning 322? I know it's this year, but what date?
That's a good question on the exact date. Yale was established in 1701. My guess is it's probably in the summertime because it's probably established right before the school year began. So, but yeah, we can look that up and find out for sure. But I know 1701 is the year Yale was created, where Skull and Bones 322's at. See if it comes up on a web search. Yeah, I'll have to look more. Because just all the quick search things isn't saying the specific date. Just it says autumn of 1701. So okay, so fall, right around when school begins. Autumn of 1701. This says so later this year. All right. Well, appreciate it, Chase. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Keep up the work, man.
All right, have a good one. Thank you. All right, hold up. We got open up. One more. Open up. What's up?
What's up? Can you hear me, Zach?
Yeah, what's going on?
Just going off the Yale thing, I think Yale was established in October. I can't remember the exact day, but sometime in October. So that'll be the 322nd anniversary. But other than that, I was looking over other news related to, the shots. Did you go over the John Stockton story? I don't know. I can't remember.
You mean what happened with John Stockton at the beginning of last year on January 23rd? Sorry, talking about?
No, I think it was this year where he started to mention like players that died from the vaccine shot. Like he mentioned that players were starting to die and they had the shot, and he said that was what caused it. And then people, they started to give him backlash about it. And then he came on another interview and like he doubled down on it. And then he said, since the second interview was after, he doubled down and he said, oh, the number is even more now. I think he said it's like 750, and he wouldn't be surprised if it's 1,000 players who have died from the shot.
Okay, at the beginning of the year, it was Georgetown's 233rd birthday. So Georgetown's the nation's first Jesuit university. John Stockton went to Gonzaga, which is the Jesuit university in Washington State. But it was Georgetown's 233rd birthday that Gonzaga suspended John Stockton, who's alumni. And notice how Gonzaga University equals 233. And then the media used the image of Stockton sitting between the chairs 5 and 6. And again, if you've been following my work for COVID, that's the coronavirus COVID vaccine number. Again, in case you're new here, coronavirus is 56. COVID vaccine is 56. Anthony Fauci's 56. Society of Jesus, that's the former power of the Jesuits, 56. Anthony Fauci's a Jesuit. Donald Trump's a Jesuit. Donald Trump waited to declare the emergency for the nation on Friday, March 13, 2020, a date with 56 numerology, 56 years after his Jesuit education began in 64. Cuomo, who's a Jesuit, the 56th governor of New York, who was like the face of the pandemic for the first 2 years. Gavin Newsom, who's a Jesuit, whose name also equals 56 when you run it in reverse, said 56% of California will get coronavirus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days when he locked down the state, and 1 million more 56 rituals. But I just thought, how funny that they got to put a picture of John Stockton between chairs 5 and 6 as they tell this story. And it's just like when Aaron Rodgers spoke out, they had Aaron Rodgers become the hero on the day leaving 56 days left in the year of Super Bowl 56. Which was the same day Odell Beckham Jr. got traded from Cleveland to the Rams before he scored the first touchdown in Super Bowl 56. And again, people don't know the Rams are originally from Cleveland. But anyway, so I didn't get into the nitty gritty of the John Stockton story, and good for him for speaking out, but they definitely suspended him. and ritualized him by the numbers. And then another part of me wonders is like, is he even speaking out on his own free will? Or is this like some kind of omission to use one of their controlled athletes like Aaron Rodgers? Because I know Aaron Rodgers is a total puppet. His whole getting to be the good guy, he got that script just like how he's an actor for State Farm. And by the way, you guys, if you don't know, State Farm equals 103 like Rodgers. But anyway, Aaron Rodgers, who everyone's like on his nuts, like, yeah, he's speaking out. All that guy does is what he's told to do. Is it the same thing with John Stockton? My guess is it probably is. And the reason they're having these guys tell some truth is just so that, again, it's put out there what the truth is, because that seems like kind of the ethics of the people who rule over us, to leak a little bit of truth and expect people to be like, well, that's just Aaron Rodgers who said that. That's just John Stockton who said that. I'm going to stick with the Dr. Anthony Fauci. So.
Yeah, man. This is what they do. Like, they leave a little bit of breadcrumbs so that, like, once you're in trouble, once you start finding out, you're like, wow, how could this happen? They're gonna come back and say, well, we told you.
Indeed.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to add. So have a good night, Zach.
All right. Yeah, you too, man. Thank you. Okay. Our resident youngster is gonna close us out. What is it? Truth does not exist.
Hey, so for all the people that don't, how can he fake a heart attack? Watch this, okay? Watch this.
Yeah, that was good, man. I mean, that was about it right there.
It's not hard, you know. Faking a collapse, you know, it's like that's like the easiest thing that they do, especially in actors and in movies and stuff. But I put a link in the chat. It's called "Why Are So Many Moon Craters Named After Jesuits?" I thought it was a thing that you'd find interesting. In fact, what's funny is
I just brought it up the other night. The 35 craters named after Jesuits on the moon.
So it's published by America, the Jesuit Review, and if you click that, like the news organization that did that, it's like a Jesuit news organization. So even that's interesting too. God,
look, you guys, again about the Jesuits running everything here. In the most simple cipher, In the most simple cipher, NASA is 35. Jesuitism is 35. Catholic is 35. Holy See is 35. And again, the Jesuits' big number is 201, like how the first Jesuit Pope's Mr. 201 who lives in Suite 201. The moon landing was on the 201st day of the year, July 20th, 1969. Notice the Jesuit order is 69 and 201. 69 is like the astrological symbol for Cancer. Cancer rules the moon landing in the time of Cancer. But also Neil Alden Armstrong, the first guy to walk on the moon, 201.
Yeah.
Again, Jesuits got their fingerprints on everything from the moon landing to all your rigged Super Bowls to your rigged elections. Same stuff over and over. So.
Yep, and so I wanted to show. God, I don't know if I can. It's a screenshot that I took. But Sports Center, they released a tweet saying the national championship stage is set, and I was like, oh shit, the stage is set, huh? And one more thing I want to say. So if you guys don't know about it, there's something called nattokinase. Because Zach, you were saying that your girlfriend's mom was had a stroke. So I've actually had people that had stroke take nattokinase. It's like a natural supplement from seaweed. And I've like seen huge improvements. What it does is that it dissolves the blood clots inside like the brain, and they'll make like there's this one lady I knew that had a stroke, and she took that, and like the next day, like the day that she took it, like she was on her phone, and like she thought that the TikToks, like the people in the TikToks were like talking to her, and she was talking back to them, and like she was like she couldn't have a conversation with her. She was just like this. And then after she took that the next day, she was like normal. Like I didn't even notice any difference, and like it was amazing. So maybe if your sweet lady wants to look into that, it's called nattokinase.
Nattokinase. My guess, I'll ask her about it. She probably knows. So good information.
So yeah. After the stream, you want to talk about the calculator if you're free, or later today?
Let's do it tomorrow because after I get off, I got to go make dinner and run a few other things. I went too long on this stream, so.
Okay.
We will, though. I appreciate it.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. All right. That was a good way to close it out with, again, I mean, that was perfect. That's exactly how he felt last night. So he did it for free. This guy does it, these football players get paid millions of dollars. So anyway, if you guys got here late, you can rewind the stream. And again, it's just, you guys, there's a reason that they raised society to be so inept. It's a lot easier to control an inept society, to fleece an inept society. And this story right here capitalized the point, especially this morning when they're reporting that he had a fundraiser that he couldn't even raise $2,500 for. And just like that, $4 million comes in. And no one, literally no one has any proof that what they're reporting is true. And again, just the fact that people believe in anything on TV, especially coming from the National Fixed League, it just shows you how dumb people are. Again, the thing that manipulates and lies and mocks humanity every single day, people trust this. It's impossible to explain. The NFL is like the biggest joke of jokes, yet people give it credibility and allow it to. So anyway, you got here late, you might want to rewind. And if you're in disagreement with what I'm saying, try and disprove what I'm saying, because I guarantee you can. I've been here for a decade proving my point every single day. This stuff is way too perfect. Anyhow, thanks everyone who tuned in. Hit the like, hit the share. And again, you guys, if you guys want to see me in LA, I want to see the support get back up. I did way too much last year for support to go down so much. I need to see the support back up. But I do need to be out in LA is the way I feel too. So we'll see what happens. And I will announce soon if I'm going to LA or not for the Kobe anniversary. And honestly, if I go down there, I'll probably get down there on the 24th because there's a Lakers-Clippers game that day, and stay through the anniversary on the 26th and do 3 days of, getting out the word in LA. Jeff Young called me up today. He said, that's the perfect area down by the stadium because he said you got like the Jimmy Kimmel thing right across the street where he broadcasts from at the Masonic Temple, and might be fun to give Jimmy Kimmel what he has coming outside of his doorstep. I'm sure they'll come out and tell us to get off the premises. But anyway, thank you to everyone who supports the work. Before I started this stream, we were 600 short of the mark where I want to see it get to. So if there's 600 people out there that want to see me in LA, again, all I'm asking you to do is pledge $1 a month. That's diddly squat. Anyhow, till next time, True Seeker, have a great rest of your day or your evening. Till next time.